Take me on home to the asylum. Never alone in the asylum. Anarchy ruled, it was wild, but through it all you never smiled. Joke's on you, I'm in your head, so look who's laughing now. Remember in Arkham City, I killed your girl, so pretty. That was the night you let me die. But when I looked you in the eye, that's when I knew we'd be together. Look who's laughing now. I'm stuck in your head and I'm laughing. Ah, I fill you with dread and I can't stop laughing. Your parents are dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do? Now I'm part of you. I am the clown, prince of crime. And we've had a hell of a time. You're part of me, I'm part of you. And now there's nothing left to do. I just can't wait till I'm in control. Who'll be laughing then? I drove you round the bend and I'm laughing. I'm with you till the end and I can't stop laughing. I killed all your friends and I can't stop laughing. Oh yeah, I think I can taste your fear. Now that my time is near, I'm in your blood, I'm so alive. I only wish you'd let me drive. It won't be long till I make you kill. Who'll be laughing then? Barbara's dead and I'm laughing. Ah! Jason Todd's dead and I can't stop laughing. I'm even dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do? Now I'm part of you. I drove you round the bend and I'm laughing. I'm with you till the end and I can't stop laughing. I killed all your friends and I can't stop laughing. I'm cock-a-doodle-doo. All because of you. I'm stuck in your head and I'm laughing. Ah, I fill you with dread and I can't stop laughing. Your parents are dead and I can't stop laughing. I'm stuck in your head and I'm laughing. I filled you with dread and I can't stop laughing. Your parents are dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do? Now I'm part of you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your host, Warlindor, and I present to you the Old Gods of Asgard featuring the best-selling writer Alan Wake. This is Herald of Darkness.
And sheltered with mama's pretty stories, and you're all made up pure. And mama gave me a magic clicker. Well, yes, I think it's true and fair to say. Come on in and listen, lost words you be missing. All the fire you're bearing, the eye of the darkness you're lying. So you were drawn to stories early on. My dreams would light up my imagination, and you had nightmares night and day. Yeah, but with the clicker I chased those frights away. Who knew? So true. So here is a clue of how to remember. Visions, they come true. Obey the light switch to you.
Thrillers of crime and chilling thrillers of hard-boiled killers became bestsellers. It was all too much, I had to get away.
The story's the end, all a piece of true fiction made meaningless in the face of creation.
But there is more to it than meets the eye. I never meant for it to ruin my life that way. Would you say you lived a jaded lie? Dark shades could never save the day. So sad, but true.
But if the nightmares touch any light switch, a gift or a curse, a reality made of dreams. Show me the champion of life. I'll show you the herald of darkness. Lost in a never-ending night. Diving deep to the surface.
Bro, it never gets old. It never does. It never does. So good. So good. If you're not familiar somehow, that is the Herald of Darkness. It's the Game Awards version. The version in the game is like 15 minutes long. And it's just as good, if not better. But this was actually performed live at the Game Awards, and bro, it's such a vibe. Oh, I love it. It's so good. It's the most Remedy thing ever. Let's just have a giant like dance troupe and just do like a full 4-minute choreographed crazy thing. Why not? Why not? I love it. I love it. How are you guys? How are you? How's everybody doing? Yeah, thanks for the stream today to hide the fact you got the days wrong. Got you. Got you. I take care of you, baby. I take care of you. I treat you right. I may or may not have had the stream scheduled and been preparing to come on, ready to see what PlayStation had to offer. Oops. Wrong day. That's tomorrow. Bro, my day is so screwed up. All day I've been like, yeah, no, that's what we're doing. It's a good thing nothing more serious was going on today. Can you imagine if it was like, oh, Luke, your heart surgery is on Thursday? Like, imagine if something actually serious were happening. Oh, but it's okay. This is what happens when you have a made up job like I do. Anyway, how are you guys? How's everybody doing? It's 2:38 in the night here, Luke. Well, I admire your commitment to be here. Thank you. That gets a whip and a nay. Just for you. Just for you. Well, since we started it, how do you feel about the new Remedy CEO? Remedy's a company that has a lot going for it and frankly should be making a lot more money than they do. And I feel like most of the reason their investors feel they have not made money is because of some of the broader decisions they've made with how they make games and the timelines it takes to make games. So I get the vibe that the investors just finally said, we got to start turning a profit faster. Because like Alan Wake took 2 years, I think, to actually break even, which is crazy. You compare that to Mugenics. Mugenics did it in 3 hours. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? That's insane. How am I today? I'm doing good. I finished Cairn, which if you've not seen Cairn game, this is it. It's a vibe, dude. It's been my guilty pleasure game at night. And it's just a game about like climbing up a mountain. Really straightforward. There is a story. There's a lot going on. It's a lot deeper than it initially appears to be. But it's a vibe, dude. It's a vibe. I've enjoyed it. It's been a good time. And I thought that I was doing pretty well, but then I made a mistake. I looked up speed runs. The average playtime, I think, is between 10 and 15 hours, depending on how good you are, to get to the peak. This speedrunner did it in an hour. Like, absolute insanity. And apparently it's because he like went and brewed a cocktail of things that just gives you ridiculous speed buffs with like no downside at all. Like actual craziness. And look, he's just like a machine. No hesitation on any move. I don't know what level of commitment or autism this is, but I'm kind of jealous. I'm gonna be real. Again, I thought I was doing pretty good, and then I watched this run, and I'm like, get out of here. Get out of here. Like, bro, even some of the trickier bits on ice, he's still, like, just rocking through it. How ridiculous is this? It's just insane. Like, get out of here. Whenever you want to feel bad about yourself, look up a speed run for a game that you feel like you're pretty good at. Instantaneously, you'll be like, I give up. Okay. Like, why do I even do anything? What am I doing? That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Bungie tested Marathon in China. Recently, they did indeed. The impressions were all quite positive. I think that they actually might have a pretty solid audience in China. They very well might. Real quick, I want to show you this. We had a contribution from Obi-Wan on our Discord, okay? On our Discord. Obi-Wan is contributing to a search. As you guys know, we have a small segment we do occasionally called Neil's Watch. And that's because Neil Druckmann, head of Naughty Dog, he makes good money. Low-key jealous. And he has a pretty phenomenal watch collection. Sure does. We've looked at a few of them. One of them, because like, I don't know if you guys know people with money, okay? When somebody with money wants to show they have money, but they don't want to like do the rapper thing of a stack of cash on their shoulder like a phone, what they do is they buy watches, nice watches, and they wear them out in public. Or they'll go on Instagram and take pictures with their watch ever so delicately framed so that you can see it. We've all done it. We've all done it. You might buy a new car. You take a picture of the new car where the logo of the car is just in the picture of the steering wheel. You know, like, oh, you just barely see it when you're taking a picture of a coffee, but you show what car you have. We've all done it. Okay. Let's not be holier than thou. But when it's Neil Druckmann, the stakes are high. I saw a few pictures of Neil where he was playing on a Steam Deck and he's like at an airport and he's like this. But the picture on his watch, that was perfect. Right as I pointed to it, it sent a notification. Right as he's like there, somebody took a picture of him and his watch is perfectly in frame. And I looked it up and it's an $80,000 watch. Oh, baby. Luke, you sound just jealous. Mm-hmm. Dude, if I could have an $80,000 watch, please give me. Of course I'm jealous. What are you talking about? So Obi-Wan found this picture. I previously could not identify this picture, but Obi-Wan did some digging. He paired up with a friend of his that's a watch collector, and they did some digging on a bunch of different models, and they found one that looks quite close to the one in the picture, including in another picture where you can get a closer look at what it is. It appears to be an Audemars Piguet or an AP watch. These are very nice, specifically the Royal Oak Offshore variant. And the Royal Oak Offshore variant is approximately 30 grand. It's probably this one up here. Maybe this one, it's hard to tell, but it's probably one of these two. It's a very, very nice watch. I am jealous, and it should just be another reminder, frankly, of the old adage that we should all keep top of mind.
Neil has a lot more money than you. He's better than us. We're poor.
And don't you ever forget it. So there you go. There you go. That's our edition of Neil's Watch for this week, you know? And dude, I respect it. I collect watches myself. I love it. I love them. I would love to have these watches that he's got. They're works of art. They are, you know, the prime example of you know, majestic artistry and careful calculations and math. Like, watches to me are beautiful. I love them. I even have an automatic watch winder behind me. You might see that thing occasionally spinning. It's because it's winding some of the manual, or automatic rather, watches that I have in my collection. I love watches. That's why I find this really funny. I just like it. So there you go. There you go. Thank you for the 5. I know you only respond to money. Okay, now I'm not going to respond. Watches or candles? Bro, I probably spent more on candles, bitch. You see all that? That's all candles, bro. I have a shelf upstairs that's just in the kitchen in like a corner cabinet. That's just candles, bro. It's bad. It's bad. Will you tell your rabid audience to stop downvoting my videos on principle? Yeah, they shouldn't downvote videos on principle. Well, actually, downvote videos on principle. Are you saying they should downvote videos on principle, or they shouldn't? If you have principles and a video disagrees with principles, then you should downvote it. But if you're saying that as a matter of principle, they shouldn't downvote, I don't understand. If you don't like a video, downvote it. If you like a video, upvote it. Let's keep it simple. Keep it easy. Nice and easy. Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Taylor, thank you for the 5. Here's my contribution to Luke's $80,000 watch. By the way, have you seen White Light's videos? You don't hate remasters enough. I think we did look at it, actually. Or at least we were going to. I think we did, though. That really rings a bell. Thank you for the 5. And, you know, we're on our way. We're on our way to that $80,000 watch. One of you brought up a good point. They're like, why would you wear that in public? Bro, that's where I'm iffy. Like, it makes me anxious to like drive like a nicer car into like downtown Denver. I'm not sure I'd want to like actually go out and do anything. Like I just think I'd be scared. I'd be scared. Like if you're gonna wear it to the red carpet or something, sure, that makes sense. But wearing it out to like walk around the town or something, that would stress me the hell out. I'm gonna be real. Speaking of real serious, thank you for that. I know you only respond to money. Will you tell your rabid audience to downvote Plazuka's videos on principle? Well, I mean, that super chat is bigger than the other one, so I guess that wins out. Everyone behave. Wait, is this the guy? I don't want to say who I think this might be unless I'm sure. Oh, is this the guy that claimed that he had a Pearl Abyss or a review code for Crimson Desert? Yeah, dude. Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, if you're gonna like, bro, I've literally talked at length with Will Powers, who runs all code distribution for North America for Crimson Desert, and he says you don't have one. So if you're openly lying to people saying you have one, you either stole it somehow or you're lying. Either way, you're the bad guy in this situation. Okay. So now I don't feel bad about people downvoting. Oh, come on. He did a review. I saw a review of the first 2 minutes. Sorry. We're gonna move on. That's pretty stupid. Okay, woo capitalism. For real, dude. If you can afford an $80,000 watch, that is your prerogative, and I will be jealous. Arkham Games, thank you for the 5. Do you think they will show Blood of Dawnwalker or Control? And what are your thoughts on No Law Game? I think we see Blood of Dawnwalker probably in the summer. Control, I'm iffy on. And then as for No Law Game, that one, No Law Game. This is the one we looked at. Whoops, wrong button. Whoop, there we go. This is the one that I think looks really cool. This is from like it looks very cyberpunk, and I mean that in the best way possible. I'm thoroughly intrigued by this one. This was one of the standouts of was it the Game Awards? It was one of those showcases. Yeah, this shot specifically is very cyberpunk to me. Yeah, this one. Ooh, beautiful. Ooh, beautiful. I'm very interested in this one. Protagonist that looks just like Tom Selleck. Give it to me. I'm all in for that. All in for that. So yeah, I'm excited to see this. I would love to see more. I'm trying to keep expectations low for the state of play. I don't want to expect anything crazy, you know. It maybe if something awesome is shown, cool. But like, I don't want to go in expecting 5 things, you know. All in for Tom Selleck. You're damn right. You're damn right. Tom Selleck can be all in me. What? Moving on. Chase, thank you for the 2. I've been playing Neo 3. Have you tried Neo 3 yet? I have not. Like I said, I've been playing Karen and Mugenics. Both are great. I've thoroughly enjoyed both. Highly recommend both. Mugenics, though, I could see that being one of those games that becomes a bit of an obsession, like a bit of a problem, frankly. I could see that being a problem. Meta, thank you for that too. Wolverine confirmed not there tomorrow. The problem is Wolverine, they said you will see more in the spring. Spring doesn't start until what, March 21st or something, according to like the technical definition of spring. So if maybe they just meant early next year when they said spring, maybe. Or if they meant the actual full definition, like the most accurate definition, it would mean it's not here, because they said next time you'll see it, you'll see more in the spring. So probably the April or May showcase. So I would not hold my breath for Wolverine. I think it's going to be a lot of third party, like partner stuff. Maybe 1 or 2 first party things, like maybe Saros, I could see that, but I would not hold my breath that you're going to see a ton of first party stuff. I know a couple of the things that are going to be dropped for reasons I can't tell you, but will become clear soon enough. But I think it's going to be a fun show. I'm excited. I'm excited. Redfall 2, damn right. This time it's personal. Nah, it's all, everything I know about, I'm like, yeah, that's baller, dude. Are they good things? Yes, yes. To be clear, I don't know anything like they would tell me. Can you imagine if they're like, hey, we're going to drop fair game $. Let Luke know. Like, there's no way they'd ever tell me something like that. So I don't know anything like super drama filled or anything. The stuff I know about, I'm like actually excited about. I think it'll be really cool. But you know what I also think is going to be really cool? Confirmed. It's happening. The King has returned. Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz will officially reprise their roles in The Mummy 4, releasing May 19th, 2028. I'm a huge fan of the Mummy movies, dude. They are freaking campy and cringy as hell. But bro, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. When you go into something knowing it's campy and going to be like low-key cringe, you can enjoy it way more. It's way better. It's way better. And this is one of those things, I hope they retain that. My personal fear is that they're going to try to make this too cool. That's like, I personally hope that they lean into it being campy, like late 90s Indiana Jones ripoff vibes. Like that's where Mummy was at its best. And I hope that that's what they do. The other thing I really, really hope is that they do a lot more practical effects than just CGI. The Mummy reboot with Tom Cruise was very CGI heavy, and I feel like it just killed that campy vibe of the film. Like it just didn't work as well. So I really, really hope that they do a lot on practical effects, actual sets, and they actually do it right. Because it would suck so bad if they blow this, but I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful that they pull it off. But Brendan Fraser deserves all the good things in the world, so I hope it's a good movie. Dude, me too. To be fair, the third one wasn't that good. Yeah. I mean, of course, we look back at it through rose-tinted glasses. I remember one person was like, dude, there's young people that look back at the Star Wars trilogy, prequel trilogy, and are like, dude, we had it so good under George Lucas. But then once he sold to Disney, we realized how good we had it, you know? Like those, but this is what happens. Once you don't know how good something is till you don't have it anymore, right? Like you don't know, like, yeah, the prequel trilogy is not very good for Star Wars. It's a lot better in a lot of ways, not every way, but a lot of ways, than what we got with that Skywalker saga, whatever they called it. And, but you know, people didn't appreciate it in the time, because they were only comparing it to the original trilogy, which was really, really, really good. And so with the Mummy movies, I feel like now that we don't have that kind of film anymore, we look back on it and we're like, oh, it was so great. But to be honest, if they dropped the Mummy, say the Mummy 3 never came out and they dropped it today, we'd be like, really? Really? The entire series is a Skywalker saga. Yeah, kind of, yeah. Yeah, technically. If we're being pedantic about it. Sure. My daughter thinks Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars movie. I feel like the most common is Empire Strikes Back. I feel like that's the most common movie that is people's favorite. But maybe, I wonder if if they've done like a poll, like what the most commonly favorited Star Wars movie is. I wonder which one it would actually land on. But I feel like Empire Strikes Back is like the most common one. Phantom Menace, Rogue One. I have heard Rogue One. People do love Rogue One. Yeah. Revenge of the Sith. I don't think there's any wrong way to do that. Poll. Okay, I'll do a poll and then we'll get back to gaming stuff because there's some more super chats I gotta keep talking about. Okay, best Star Wars movie. I can only put 4 options. So I'm just going to do numbers. Okay, 5, episode 5. Episode 6. Probably episode 4. And then Rogue One. Unless one of you guys wants Solo. Dude, I remember reading stories, and dude, they hired that guy to play Han Solo because he looked like Han Solo. And like straight up, they had to hire an acting coach to come to set. They have multiple acting coaches to come and talk to him and be like, you have to do this. You have to do this. Like, what are you doing? Like they had to like actually go and train him on the set. Episode 3. Yeah, I could have swapped Rogue One for episode 3. I'm honestly surprised episode 6 is losing. Wow. Okay. Sorry, Twitch viewers. I love you dearly. I could have done a straw poll. I was just trying to do something quick. We have like 1,200. What do we even have? I don't actually know. Oh, shoot. We have 1,600 people on YouTube. So I was like, I'll throw it up quickly there. That's crazy. What about Acolyte? What about it? What about it? Riddle me that. Akawai? Exactly. Power of many. That's the same thing I do when I'm at a restaurant and I want dessert, but one person doesn't and is trying to like bully us out of ordering dessert. We start chanting, power of many, power of many. That's how we get it. That's how we do it. Yeah. The OG movies, Empire was considered the best. Well, that's what won our poll. 40% of the vote goes to episode 5, 16% to episode 6, 19% to episode 4, and Rogue One takes almost a quarter of the vote with 24%. But episode 5 is the winner. There you go. You know, my wife still has never seen a Star Wars movie. I don't get it. I've tried to get her to like sit down and watch a Star Wars movie. No interest. Same with Lord of the Rings. She's never watched Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, she's got full on TikTok brain though, dude. Like she can't. I love her to death. She cannot sit through a movie without being on her phone. It's hilarious. Like, she gets like itchy if she doesn't have her phone to doom scroll while watching a movie. It's crazy. It's unhinged. I'm like, you're missing out. You're missing out. Okay, let me catch up on these real quick. Where did I leave off? Read that one. Morgan, hey Lukey Boo. Hi. Will you cover Crimson Desert performance before or on release date? Debating PC or PS5. My old man back likes to game in bed. I respect it, bro. It's a vibe to game in bed for real. That's why I like my Legion Go 2. I do plan on testing it as much as I am able to. So they've already communicated that codes will probably be pretty limited, so they won't be able to just send out 1,000. My typical request is to try it on PC and test it on PC. Second priority is probably PS5, and then third priority is I want to see how that thing runs on Mac. I'm so thoroughly curious because they say it's going to be optimized for it and it's going to run on it, and bro, I'm just kind of curious. I want to know. So we will find out as much as we can. And my understanding is that they are not going to like hold back access from places like Digital Foundry. They will give them access, I imagine, to test it and do all of that. Because they know how players feel. They know people are like, dude, this looks awesome. I just hope it runs well. So if they can overcome that hurdle, they'll do crazy numbers, you know? They just have to overcome that hurdle. We'll see. I will try to test it as much as I am allowed to. Red Mystic, thank you for that. Hey, Luke, any news on the new Mass Effect game, and when do you think it'll come out? I think it's still a long ways out. My understanding is that team is only like 80 people large. It's like a small team. Because basically what happened, let me demonstrate this. Visual aid. This is how it worked, okay? This egg was BioWare. Okay. They had it pretty well split in half, with this half working on Mass Effect and this half working on Dragon Age. Dragon Age, the Veilguard comes out. We all know how that went. And then the blood was shed, and this was all destroyed. Gone. And so now there is one half of the team left, Mass Effect. Technically, I think actually a bit of these people got cut too. The company got literally decimated. You know the term decimation? It literally just means reducing by a tenth. Decimate, you know? That's what happened here. They decimated it several times over. So they're down to like 80 people from 200-ish that were there before. Dragon Age team got cut. Pretty much the entire Dragon Age team, yes. Every single writer that was in the credits for Dragon Age Veilguard is no longer working there. Which frankly, this is like the tricky thing about this job, right? Because I meet a lot of devs, I meet a lot of writers, I meet a lot of people who work on these games. But I'm just going to be honest with you. If you work on a thing and you're working on one very particular part of that thing, the thing releases and everybody agrees, except for 5 people, that your thing was so bad that it basically sunk the whole ship. You were in charge of patching the one section of the bottom of the Titanic right there. That was your portion to patch up and build out and fix. Make sure it worked. And then that's the part that burst and sunk the entire ship. That's what, yes, you lose your job. I'm sorry. That's just how it works, okay? It's how it would work if you were working in retail. I worked in retail. I was in charge of selling Sony TVs. I was the Sony vendor provided labor is what they called it. VPL. Sony VPL. And if Sony didn't sell any TVs during Black Friday, I would get fired because that was my thing. I'm in charge of that. If I fail, they know who to blame. Same with the writing. If you fail at the writing in Dragon Age Veilguard, you get fired. That's how it works. Who are the lucky few who got to lifeboats? Basically, the team that works on Mass Effect has always been separate. So the team working on Mass Effect was able to survive. So all of this was cut off. The Dragon Age team disappeared and they were all fired and left for other jobs and other things and other opportunities, as they would say. But the team that works on Mass Effect remained, but it's much, much smaller than it would have been otherwise. So right now, my understanding is that there's about 80 people actively working on Mass Effect. Very small team. It probably grows and gets to the point where maybe at its peak, it's going to be like 150 if executives are confident in the project, but it's a ways off. So I would not expect to see Mass Effect anytime soon. I think it's a long way off. Yeah, long way off. So then why does ML still have a job? Good question. This is the difficult thing that I've had to come to terms with. To me, it seems pretty clear that ML's writing is pulling down the quality of Bethesda projects. I do not think that is clear to Todd. I do not think Todd would say that. Todd views ML as his like right-hand man, and I don't think he views it the same way. So he does not think that. He does not see it. Sorry, I'm adjusting the intensity of this light because it's a little harsh. It's peaking just a tad. There you go. There you go. See, I gotta adjust the lights in real time. You want to see how bright some of these lights can get? Look at this. This light, my key light, watch this. This is at full power. Ow. It hurts. It's she's powerful. She's powerful. She's stunning, brave, and beautiful. There you go. That's better. We're getting there. We're gonna go to 42%. Much better. Much better. Professional streamer. Damn right. Damn right. When does the state of play start? It's come to my attention. I am not the one to ask. I'm not a reliable source, apparently, when it comes to when it starts. Let's see. Roberto, thank you for the super chat. No message, or the message was retracted. Samuel, thank you for the 5. Supermassive also posted a recent release trailer for Directive 8020. Get your cake ready, Luke. Oh my god. See, I know you're referring to the cake in the trailer. That does low-key sound like you're telling me to prepare my butt. Because I think cake is slang for butt. Is it not? Or am I making that up? If I'm making that up, then I sound weird right now. But yeah, they did post a new trailer. We'll see. Because I did not have... I was not gentle last time I saw it. So we'll see. Well, we'll check it out. Thank you for the suggestion. Thank you. Very sus, Luke. Prepare the cake. It's already prepared. What you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah.
My wife and I play D2 together.
That kind of came out of
I
nowhere.
have 12k hours. She has 9k. In a big
Jesus.
clan, and we raid Sherpa randos all the time. I only know of 2 people excited about Marathon.
Most it says I don't think most D2 players care. Interesting. First of all, my god, 12,000 hours. That's 500 days nonstop. It's like a year and a half of nonstop playing. Do you leave it, like, honest question, do you leave it like running when you get up and go to work or something? Do you leave it running? Because I've never understood how people can get to like 10,000 hours in a game. It's just, it's wild to me. I think he meant 120 hours. 120 and 12K are very, very different. You know, not what your mom said. Damn right. D2 players haven't even moved on to D4 yet. Oh my goodness. It's not as hard as you think if it's MMO live service. I guess if you totally commit to it, maybe 1,200 hours, that's way more reasonable. Ozzy says, too true. I am a D2 player. Don't care about Marathon. Soon Marathon players will all be disappointed in how Bungie runs a live service game. Well, you know, they're going to do really good for a year and a half. And then, you know, they'll move on to something else. Marathon 2. Yeah. 1,200 hours sounds much more likely. Yeah. If it's 12K, mad respect. That's crazy. I just don't know how you get like that. I just personally am amazed. Like, that's just impressive to me. Let's see. Mercurial Funk, thank you for the 5 thoughts on Jason Momoa being the lead in the Helldivers film. And how do you think they're going to split the fun tone with the satire of the game? I don't know, frankly. Funnily enough, I know people who knew Jason Momoa back in the day. Jason Momoa. He lived in my town. Yeah. During his younger years, he worked at local spots like Bassetti's. I've talked about this like years ago. I talked about this. Somebody I know, Sydney, she was a director and like art director for a theater I worked with. And she worked with him. She was also, I believe, a waitress or bartender at Bassetti's. Bassetti's closed down. The owners like retired and everything, but they worked at Bassetti's. And Jason Momoa, she at least said that he regularly was like the laziest, most like entitled prick you can imagine. Like, he knew he was good looking and he knew that he could kind of get his way by just no. And so he did. She's like, honestly, he was not the best coworker. He was very entitled. And he said he was going to leave Fort Collins because he wanted to go to California and become a professional surfer. That was his goal, not actor, surfer. Figure that one out. Either way, he ended up making it and figuring it out. But the other thing I know about Jason Momoa, I don't know why this stuck with me. Let's see. There was a story years ago. Yeah, 2019. I don't know why I remember this specifically. But Jason Momoa, Chris Pratt was holding a plastic water bottle and Jason Momoa called him out. This story is from 2019. I don't know why I remember this one very specific story, but it's literally Chris Pratt shared this photo of him working out. Pretty tame. Jason Momoa like freaked out on him and was like, bro, do better. Do better. Let's see. Where's his bro? I love you, but what the fudge on the water bottle? No single-use plastic. Come on. Like, shut up. Like, come on. Are we at the point where we're gonna be policing? Is that a goddamn straw I see in your cup? Let me guess, you use paper plates, you son of a bitch. Like, are we doing that? I'm all for like taking care of the environment. I live in Colorado. It's kind of a big deal here. But like, shut up. You know? It's just crazy to me. So I've always had the feeling that Jason Momoa is maybe a bit, I think I'm guessing he finds the tone of Helldivers problematic. See what I'm saying? So I found his casting surprising, to be honest. because I think he'd be like, well, actually, there's a lot of problems with Liberty. So let's discuss that and break it down. No water bottles, by the way. So, you know, I don't know. We'll see. I'm open-minded. Hopefully it's great. I like him as an actor. I like the stuff he's in. I think he does a good job, but I don't know. I did find his choice interesting. He enjoys himself is what you're saying. Well, yeah. And he's part of that like Hollywood, very performative thing where it's all just like purity tests and trying to flex on each other. It's just kind of cringe. Like, I'm pretty sure Jason Momoa travels 99% of the time on a private jet, and he's lecturing Chris Pratt about using a water bottle. Like, what are we doing? Come on. Okay. Real quick, a break to just see somebody doing a great speed run, because I love speed runs. This is from the YouTuber Robbie Bolt. Ready, set. This is the 2 cigarette, 2 beer, 2 Rubik's Cube challenge.
My time to beat is 3 minutes 33 seconds. I can't remember the world record, but it's around 1:30. You can see it up here. Will I beat that? Who knows, but I'm hoping for under 2 minutes.
Me too.
Also, the up top camera is dead, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Anyway, let's do this.
You wore a suit. This might be copyrighted music, so I'm just going to mute it. Okay. 1 beer down. That's good. Okay. He's okay. Okay. Dude, he's okay. He's ripping it. Okay. I would love to be his neighbor. Just like, what? Where are his parents? Just like, how was your day, honey? What did you do? Let me tell you what. Okay. Well, that's good. Those are good polls. My grandma, who's a chain smoker, would be very impressed right now. Okay. Now he's going to start solving. Okay. Now he's doing good. Dude, I used to grind out Rubik's Cubes. I loved it. Okay. He's doing good. Oh, he's in the last. It's on like one of the last steps. Okay, there you go. Nice. Well, he's doing good. I think he might do it. I think he might break the record. He might actually break the record. Chug. Now he's just got to chug it. He's so close. I think he did it.
That baby.
1 minute and 28 seconds. Just to confirm, I'm proud to have my record back. Once again, I nominate Yi Hang Wang. Have a good one, y'all. My record back. Once again, I nominate Yi Hang Wang.
Okay. Well, there you go. This should be in the Olympics. Dude, is it the toboggan racing? I'm gonna be real. I don't understand how that's an Olympic sport. You sat in a sled and then it went down a hill. Like, I don't know what you're doing. This requires skill. This is talent. Okay? I would much rather see this than sledding, like a child. This a child can't even do. Cigarettes, That's what I'm saying. Chaz the Wat, thank you for the 5. Yo, Luke, fellow Coloradoan. Sup? Just announced my first game. It's called Piece by Piece on Steam. It's what I scrolled too far. It's what we call a literal puzzle platformer. Okay, now I'm curious. Piece by piece. Piece by piece. And you said it's on Steam. Let me add Steam. Do. This? Oh, is this it? Dude, Oh baby, dude, this is fire. Oh bro, this is like tickling my brain. Dude, this is sweet. This is freaking sweet. What I'm gonna do, Chaz, is that what it was? Chaz? Because this looks so fire, I'm going to take this and I'm gonna share it with the team with New Game Plus, and they can reach out to you and see about sharing trailers and Steam links and stuff on our social channels and stuff, okay? Because that's fire. That's fire. Okay, we'll try to get you some wish lists, exposure. Okay. That's baller. Thank you for telling us about it. That's freaking sweet. I wish I was that talented. Armin Coleman, thank you for the 5. I know Wolverine won't show, but maybe Rise of the Hydra at the State of Play. Ooh, maybe. I know some people are expecting that. I could totally see that. I'm just typing this out to the team. Okay. Voila. Voila. Onimusha? Yeah, we might see Onimusha too. You never know. You never know. Hey, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you for building that. Let's see. Google Italian bobsledder Alessia Crippa. You might get a new appreciation for that sport. Italian bobsledder Alessia Crippa. And you said this will give me a new appreciation for the sport.
At Francisco the Disco 1416 donated $10 through Super Chat.
Oh,
While
did
I
she have
love
like an
making
accident?
fun of Concord-like games, I kind of feel bad for environmental devs and programmers. Imagine 5 to 7 years of your life ruined by some writers, character artists.
Cut it off. Character artists or just bad game design. It is the frustrating thing about freaking being a game dev or working at any company, to be fair, but like you are beholden to the whole team. So like you could do the best work in the world. And it's why I felt bad for the marathon guys, because like so many of those guys are so amazingly talented, but because of the actions of a handful of the artists team who stole all that art, the whole thing like started to implode. And like if you were a gameplay programmer or if you were one of the musicians working on it, like you had nothing to do with any of that. And you're like, okay, well now I'm tied into that, dude. Like it just sucks. Gooning in the super chat is wild. Hey, a super chat's a super chat. What can I say? But yeah, I do feel bad for them. There are a couple of them that have dropped where I'm like, I don't even want to like cover this because it's just stupid. There's been a handful. Yeah, maybe Rise of Hydra. We might see that. Roberto, thank you for that one. I don't know what happened to my super chat, but I was asking if you've seen anything about Crystal Theater of Idols. Looks very interesting. BioShock-like, worth less than $20 with good reviews. I actually tried Crystal Theater of Idols at Summer Games Fest last summer. Met a couple of the devs, and they were very passionate about it. And it's good to see that it's receiving like good reception and good reviews. Because I mean, I thought it was pretty solid at the time for what it is. Like if it was going to be a $70 game, of course, then the standard changes. But for what it is, they're asking $16 for it. And from everything I've seen and what I played, like $16, yeah, you can get $16 of enjoyment out of this for sure. for sure. Pretty straightforward, like spooky, crazy, puppety vibes. Very beautiful graphically. The gun reloads using the player's health, so it's constantly encouraging you to play super aggressively. Very high risk, high reward. Does have some BioShock vibes. The character designs are really good. I've been impressed by it. So yeah, I absolutely recommend people check that out. $16 for that, I think, is a slam dunk. Slam dunk. And the devs were really passionate, really sweet. You could tell they really put a lot into it. Let's see. Are you excited for the God of War TV series? I'm getting more and more excited. They've been killing it with the casting, in my opinion. Like, seriously. It's so good to see. Let's see. Syntist, good to see you. 22 months. Oh, baby. Indeed. By the way, thank you. Again, everybody, just so you know, YouTube changed their system, so it now shows me your raw username, not your like name that you selected for your account. So if you're like, why is he calling me that when he used to call me that? It's because that's what pops up now. So forgive me. Forgive me. It's not my fault. Keaton, thank you for the 5. My dream game is Rocksteady making a Bat Cow game. Is that what I think it is? Okay, I searched Bat Cow. There's a bunch of these, but then the top short, look at just the text. I'm scared to click. I'm scared to click on that. So I'm not going to.
At Letchit M with J donated
Save it for later.
$9.99 through Super Chat. I went down the Crimson Desert fake review guy rabbit it hole. Geez, some people needs help. Tears of joy. Also Overwatch is fun again. Jetpack Cat.
Dude, I played Overwatch last night with some family and friends, and bro, I had a good time. I had a really good time. Like, I'm just, it goes to show you that just having a little bit of competition can go a long way. If you just have a little bit of competition. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And they got to get their act together. And that seems to be what happened. I'm really glad to see it. As for the fake review rabbit hole, yeah, I mean, it's just, at some point, I think there's not, I don't think we are engaging with certain people in a productive capacity. You know, some people, I think, engaging in the delusion might make it worse. So I just don't, just move forward, you know, because that was crazy. Yes, but thank you for the super chat. Thank you also, Blackthorn. Has anyone messed with calling you Lukey Pookie? Your mom. Sorry. Luke, did you ever play Hearthstone? Oh, do you mean Hearthstone? Or is Hearthstone a separate thing? Hearthstone I used to play a lot. That was one of my like grind out at work games. Like when there were no customers coming to buy stuff. Of course, not during customer interactions. Are you crazy? Armin and Coleman, thank you for that one. Rise of Hydra has a moderate chance of showing at the State of Play. I mean, I just want to know why they delayed it. I'm just genuinely curious. Pretty Eye, thank you for the 32 months. My fiance finally watched Lord of the Rings last year. Loved them, and we watched the extended editions in theater in January. I chose correctly. Cheers to 32 months. 32 months, cheers indeed, my friend. And I'm glad to hear that. I like, seriously, once you've sat down and you've absorbed Lord of the Rings as a trilogy, even if you don't like long movies, you will appreciate it. Like, you'll be so thankful of the detail and all the crap that went into it. I understand how intimidating that is to people, though, because you're like, it's a commitment to sit through those movies when you're not used to doing that. But seriously, like, when people do it, they'll be so thankful they did. How crazy it would be if Jim Ryan, the ghost of Jim Ryan, showed up at the State of Play. He's like, I'm here to ruin more games. I ain't done yet, bitch. That'd be funny. If you the money, what game would you make? Asks I can't read. Dokobo. A game like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but set within the golden age of piracy. Hardcore sim elements, high quality writing that's grounded, realistic, pirates, sailing, vast world to explore. Inject. Give it to me now. That's what I want. I would make a Stardew Valley type football RPG. That actually would also be pretty cool. Yeah. Can Bat Cal be in it? You know what? Sure. We'll put him in a cave as a boss fight. Do you think, or do you know if there's going to be a game about rubbing your belly? If there is a game about rubbing your belly, I've seen some of the debauchery on Steam. I'm guessing there's something like that out there. Just keep searching. Keep looking. You'll find it. I believe in you. I believe in you. The Nerdy Giant thing with the 5. Do you think GTA 6 marketing is going to impact Summer Games Fest? If yes, how much/bad? I don't think so, because they said it'll kickstart in the summer. The summer apparently starts in June 21st, I think is the technical start of summer. Start of summer date. Yeah, June 21st at 2:24 a.m. So they said it's going to start in the summer, which would put it after June 21st, which would mean it's after Summer Games Fest. So I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so, but who knows? Forged Horizons, thank you for the 36 months. Oh, baby, it's been 3 years, and I'm only 5 Resident Evil games away from owning the entire franchise, CIB. I have well over 30 Resident Evil games in my collection now. Physically, I can now legally pirate them. It's now official. It's now official. That's baller. Having the physical collection is just... it's such a flex. I love it. I love it. Tyler, thank you for the super chat. Yo, Luke, love your videos. You think we would see anything new from the new Naughty Dog IP at the PlayStation Showcase? Do you mean Intergalactic, or do you mean another new IP? Because that's possible too. My personal expectation is that they're doing Intergalactic and maybe like, I don't know, Last of Us 3 or something. That's my guess. But as for whether we see Intergalactic, the one thing that makes me think yes, there's two sides of this, okay? Number one, it could be that they just say no because the game doesn't come out until next year. I don't think it comes out until 2027. Jason Schreier has estimated similar things. So, and he actually knows what he's talking about. The other side of it, though, is there was a story that broke at the end of last year, in case you do not recall. The story was that Naughty Dog was calling all of their devs in to crunch. They had to crunch because they had to make a demo to let executives review their progress. And it's possible that that demo is what they were going to record for the State of Play. Maybe. Kill two birds with one stone. If executives like the demo, they let you showcase it at the State of Play. Maybe. Maybe. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. They were crunching mighty hard to get that demo done. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Luke probably played GTA 6, but can't tell us. No. No. I'm not. Well, no. Moving on. No, yeah, you're right. No comment. No comment. Handled that one like a champ. Didn't see a thing coming. Thank you for the super chat. Luke, have you ever seen Foxhole? It's an interesting social fishbowl war game. And they just launched Airborne, so now it's truly combined arms. That sounds familiar, actually. Foxhole game?
At Caleb's 92 donated $10 through Super Chat. Does GTA even need to do any advertising? They could spend $0 and everyone would still know when it releases.
Yeah, I don't think they need to. I think that they can just chillax and let the hype carry the day. But I think that they know the marketing is not for you and me. The marketing is for John Doe, who's a plumber in Idaho and is 30, we'll say 32. The last time he played a video game was GTA 5 in college when he was 20. Okay. That time I doesn't matter. He's 34. I think. 30. No, he's 33. We got there. When he was 20 in college, he played GTA. And so they're trying to get him to be like, oh, the next one's out. I'm going to go buy a console and I'm going to go upgrade my whole system and I'm going to get into this. That's what the marketing's for. It's not for the engaged gamers. We all know about GTA 6, but believe it or not, there are people out there who don't know it's coming in November. So you got to speak to them, and they are the ones that are not just going to buy the game, but they're going to buy the console, they're going to buy the controllers, they're going to buy the new TV, they're going to do the whole thing. Yeah, they want me. You're damn right. Damn right. What Marvel game do you think has a chance of showing at the State of Play? I hope Rise of Hydra, Armin Coleman. Yeah, I think that if one is going to show, that's going to be it. Like, I don't think it's going to be Blade. You know, I think Xbox would hold that. So I wouldn't expect that there. Let's see. Did I catch up on all these? Yes. Yes, I read that one. I read that one. I read that one. Okay. We need a developer to legit make a deep RPG open world Viking Age game. Take what Valhalla could have been, an RPG like the show Vikings. Yup, take all my money. It is kind of what Valhalla was, at least trying to be. Just that Viking simulator. Which, if you've not played it after all the updates, they did add a lot of stuff. Like a lot. So they added like river raids. They added a ton of free updates. So it might be more of what you're thinking now. In terms of like narrative RPGs, yeah, it's never been good at that. But there is a world in which Valhalla, I think, could check a good number of those boxes. Hogwarts Legacy 2 at Sony's show. It is not impossible. Especially because they had a marketing deal for the first game. You remember they had quests exclusive to the PlayStation 5 for a year? They had that quest where you have like, most people thought it was the best quest in the game, but it was the store, like the shop quest in Hogsmeade. It was a whole thing. So it's not impossible. Too early? No. Well, it depends on what the scope is. They showed Hogwarts Legacy for the first time. I think it was 2 years before it launched. Hogwarts Legacy announcement. September 16th of 2020. So it was like 2.5 years before, 2.5 to 3 years before it launched, when they showed this. So it's possible that they show it and the game is still 2 years away, or they might want to do a more condensed marketing cycle, but they were fine with doing a 2-year marketing campaign for the first game. So it's not impossible. Not impossible. Let's see. Almost caught up. Shadow Daddy, thank you for the 5. I was going to buy a Steam Deck OLED this week, but they're sold out. Oh, really? Any suggestions for another PC handheld, or should I wait for stock? The best PC handheld I've ever used is the Legion Go 2. It is the most expensive, though, so it's not for everybody. If you're looking for a really solid handheld, the ROG Ally lineup is great, but it runs Windows, not SteamOS. There is a Legion Go that runs SteamOS, though, that gives you much improved performance, like 10% better performance, which is crazy. So there are options, but I would look at the ROG Allies and I would look at the Legion Go. The Legion Go I've loved just for the OLED screen, but it's worth checking out. Worth checking out. And then lastly, Sam, the Apollo Wolf, thank you for the 5. Hey, Luke, are you curious / excited for the Silent Hill transmission tomorrow before Sony's State of Play? I think Silent Hill Townfall and Silent Hill 2 DLC will be shown off. Yeah, I think so. I think they'll also probably like they're gonna have something stupid. They're gonna have like a mobile game or something they're sharing, but I think they'll have some good little tidbits. I'm not expecting anything massive, but they should have a good couple of things. I think DLC makes the most sense. Yeah. Surely you could just flash SteamOS onto it, right? I think so, but I am not brave enough to try that. The problem for the Legion Go 2 is that it uses the detachable controllers. The detachable controllers have specific firmware for Windows that makes them work. So you disconnect them, they automatically reconnect and all of that. And they charge when attached. My fear would be flashing a different OS onto it would lose that firmware, and then the controllers wouldn't work anymore. So it's not something I would risk. I think that Lenovo has to handle it to make sure everything works properly. But who knows? Maybe somebody's found out a way to get it working. It is well above my pay grade, but it would freak me out. I'd be too scared to try to do anything with it. Luke, choose D&D or Lord of the Rings. Maybe both. Oh, God. I'm going to say both. If I had to choose one, it all started with Lord of the Rings. I love D&D, but it all started with Lord of the Rings. Like, you don't have D&D without Lord of the Rings. You know? You just don't. You just don't. It just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Okay, where? There it is. Okay. Let me do this. Insert joke about devs cooking. Did you guys see this? New mini segment thing. The developers for Black Myth Wukong, they have shared, as part of the Chinese New Year celebrations, a look at their engine improvements they've made. This is literally a video that goes on for 6 minutes and is just a lady making soup with scary ingredients. Now, I've told you guys before, I love video game food when done well. Monster Hunter Wilds, Monster Hunter Worlds, they both have great food. I find it super, super cute when they especially in Monster Hunter World, when they do the whole dance as they're cooking with the little palicos. I love it. This is much less cute, as you're about to see. Okay. She's got some veggies. She got stuff like that. Okay. There's some creatures walking behind her. Okay. Okay, cool. Wait till she cuts the steak. Why does the steak have eyeballs? I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I really don't. Mmm. Yummy. Now, this is also weird. A baby with grass and horns. This better be a good soup. No, I'm gonna be real. I've seen some dev vlogs. I've done a good amount of 3D editing and stuff back in the day. This is wildly impressive for something that is allegedly running in real time. It's very, very impressive. I don't really understand how they're doing it, but they're making tons of improvements. And I think the main point of this is to show off the for one, sheer level of fidelity, the texture work, and then the animation quality with every little bitty detail. It's done really, really well.
At Nico says things donated $10 through Super Chat. What do you mean you're at soup?
I'm at soup! Don't show this to the AI. Okay. Like, it's oddly mesmerizing. I just kind of zoned out for a solid 30 seconds there. But like the amount of technical work that's going into what you're seeing is wild. Just pointless, really. This is not for people like you and me. This is just to this is walking up and slapping your thing down on the table at a job interview. This is them just flexing on everybody else, being like, look what we can do. And I'm not suggesting you do that at a job interview, okay? Just to be clear. Black Myth depends on the job. Fair point. Black Myth Zhongqi. And then they show the website. And then this. And there it is. There it is. I don't understand what any of that means, but it probably will make sense when we get the actual game. But again, it's just technical flexing, and it's also sort of a recruitment piece. A lot of studios will also do projects kind of like this as a training operation to just like see if their tools can do certain things, sort of a proof of concept and training exercise. Funnily enough, apparently that's how the original the original Skyrim anniversary next gen whatever update back in 2018 or whenever it was, that's how that came about, because apparently they were just doing those engine upgrades for Skyrim to like get the engine up and running and to demonstrate, and they're like, oh, we can sell this 15 times, but they like, oh, cool, and that's what they did. So this might be something similar where they're just like proving what they're capable of. The other trailer they shared was also, I mean, just graphically crazy, but this to me is much less, this does not seem to be running in game or anything. This is like a full-on cinematic, but this was also beautiful. Bro, I've told you 1,000 times before, look out for the Eastern devs. There's amazing talent out there. They work ridiculously hard. They don't do this like unionizing thing that Western devs are doing. Crunch culture, not really a concern there. The salaries are way lower over there, so they can hire 10 times the devs for the same price. They can have 3,000 people working on one of these games and crank it out faster and bigger and crazier than what a lot of Western dev studios can do. So watch out. It's going to be hard to compete. It's going to be really hard to compete because they're playing by fundamentally different rules than Western devs are. That's not fair, Luke. Yeah, I agree. That's just how it is, though. That's competition. That's how it is, man. As an Asian person, can confirm Crunch is the culture, says Nico. I mean, we've read stories, even in Japanese studios of like From Software, where their starting salaries are like they did a big 15% pay increase across the board for starting salaries at From Software after Elden Ring did so well. That brought the starting salary for full-time work up to approximately $2,050 a month before tax. Like, and then you look at places like Ubisoft or EA who are paying $60, $70, $80,000 a year for these jobs. And all of a sudden it starts to make sense why budgets are ridiculously high over here. But then these studios in Eastern markets are able to pump these games out way faster and way, way cheaper, you know? Yeah, but the yen is extremely weak. Absolutely. Nobody should act as though that payment is going to be the same for you in Tokyo as it is in San Francisco. Very different places. But that's also, again, part of just the equation that we're talking about. Like a lot of these dev studios are built in extremely expensive places to live. And that means that the people who live there need more money to pay the bills. So that drives all the expenses up, you know? Montreal's not cheap. San Francisco is not cheap. Santa Barbara is not cheap. I mean, these are expensive places to live. So it just is, it's tricky. KCD only costs 40 million. Well, and KCD is being built in a cheaper area within Europe. It's a smaller, more lean team. And they also were trying to prove something. So I would guess that there was a good amount of crunch going on, depending on how you define it, to build out Kingdom Come Deliverance. But at least in my experience, when you're building something you really love, it doesn't really feel like crunch. At least to me. Like, I, by the technical definition, crunch for this YouTube channel all the freaking time. Like, I'm working at 11:30 at night, filming stuff. It drives Jacob and Trevor and everybody crazy. But, like, I'll crunch on this stuff regularly. But it's a labor of love, so it does not feel like work at all, you know? But obviously for some studios and some devs, it very much is work. But I think for some of these projects, when it's like a small startup studio and it's just like 10 guys trying to make something, it is much more of a labor of love. So they're willing to put in the extra hours, you know. Just a different equation. Different equation, frankly. Okay. I just wanted... Sorry, that video is really stupid. I was gonna look at it. Okay. Let me do this. I want to look at this next. Please hold. I'm backing out. Changing tabs. Pin tabs. Search tab. Okay. Let's do this. Are you ready? Blizzard showcase is going on. Cool, Phil. Cool. We will we can check out the recaps and stuff. We don't tend to do a lot of like Blizzard stuff just because there's like a couple things I'm interested in with Blizzard, but like 95% of it is stuff that I don't really give a crap about, you know. But thank you for letting us know. We'll follow up on it, see what they showcase. Yeah. In a broader sense, yen and all these Eastern currencies aren't necessarily weak. For example, you can spend 10,000 yen on much more things compared to America and Europe. Well, it's just like, it's one of the frustrations for a lot of international competing companies is that the currency manipulation, especially from China, does make it difficult to compete by design. The whole point is that they can manipulate their currency to benefit their industries. And so it, like, you are playing on a different playing field. You're playing with a different set of rules. That's just the reality, though. You know, there's not much you can do about it. Just is what it is, my friends, is what it is. Hearing you say my name was crazy. Well, Philip Hamilton. I just misread it. Philip Hamilton. My brain read the P and the H together. Philip Hamilton. Philip Hamilton. I swear I'm not drunk. Sorry. Phil is unlocked now. Apparently I am too. Anyway. What classic game series do you think deserves a new release? I'd love a new King's Quest. I think Red Faction reboot with full destructible environments and caves and everything. Bring it on. Bring it on. That's what I want. Okay, let's hear this. New segment. Sorry, Phil. We're doing this instead of the Blizzard thing. Sorry. Caleb, thank you for the vibe. China breaking the rules to get an unethical advantage. Name a more iconic duo. It's like, what is that South Park thing where it's like, what would Tom Brady do? He'd cheat and then go home and bang his hot wife. That's China. It's like, do they really care that they're kind of manipulating things a little bit? No, they just do it and then they go home and bang their hot wife. That's what they do. Okay. Here we are. This is a video from Rogue Ranks. He's gone rogue, man. This is from 4 months ago, but it is a completely reasonable Elder Scrolls 6 wish list. And one of you guys shared it with me and said, Luke, you got to check this out and let us know your thoughts. My perspective on the Elder Scrolls is that we should maintain a level-headed disposition. We should remember the people making these games are just people. They're just normal, everyday people. You shouldn't venerate them. You shouldn't treat them any differently because at the end of the day, they are just people. That means they're capable of things just like you and me, but they have certain capacities. So even though you may be tempted to take somebody and elevate them on a pedestal as though they're capable of endless features and systems, don't do that. Remember that they're just normal. I think Elder Scrolls 6 probably will end up disappointing most people. Okay? I don't say that in a celebratory way. I'm just saying, based on the ridiculous hype, I think people are going into it with unreasonable expectations. Okay? I think realistically, it ends up playing like Starfield, but with grass. Starfield, but with swords. Because that's kind of what Bethesda games are, is that they build something, they add on to it, and then they just stack a little bit more on. They build out a Fallout, Fallout 3, which really was just Oblivion, but with guns. And then from Fallout 3, they move on to Skyrim, where they took a lot of their learnings from the RPG systems and the combat and skills and stuff from Fallout 3, and they build out Skyrim, but they streamline it into something that's much more mass marketable, right? And then they take that and they build it out into Fallout 4, and they try to go cinematic with it, get a voice protagonist, and they build out Fallout 4. And all along they're adding systems and they're changing stuff, whether it's with like in terms of combat or like the VAT system coming from Fallout 3 to Fallout 4, or Fallout 4, they build the settlement system where you can actually build a little house and customize it. And then that leads straight into Fallout 76, which of course is kind of entirely built around the base building and customizing your own space. And then Starfield comes along, and Starfield is basically Fallout 76, but in space and way more procedural, but it's also built around building your own little hab and customizing your ship. And I think that this will follow suit exactly with Elder Scrolls 6, where it's going to have probably castle customization, which is just the settlement system, but with castle walls instead. And maybe, I know some people have suggested maybe there's going to be like ship customization like Starfield had. I don't really see how that works because it's a ship, like it's a boat. Maybe you can customize the interior, but I wouldn't expect like mods and habs because that's not how boats work. But you never know. Maybe they'll let you customize a full galleon. I think that'd be super cool. But I think they'll have stuff like that. That's basically just the same systems you had in the previous games carried forward. I think that'll all be there. Day one mods, baby. Not the mods you're hoping for, though. I think it's going to be the paid mods, the Creation Club. I think that's going to be built out there. And I think it's very, very likely that they're going to have mod support and paid mods available day one, day zero, because I think they are building up relationships with some of these modders at this like stage to actually get them involved building stuff out ahead of time. And so I think that that's going to be there. And basically my prediction is that Elder Scrolls 6 will be much more of a live service game than a single player game. I think it's going to be built around constant updates, constant micro expansions. That's what she said. But I think it's going to be probably not what you have in your mind. And I think that that's fine, because I don't think that there was ever going to be a way that they could live up to the expectations. I think a lot of people are looking at them and thinking that they're going to deliver a Red Dead 2 meets Witcher 3 meets Skyrim, and that's just not what BGS is interested in or capable of nowadays. I just don't foresee that happening. But let's hear what, again, Mr. Rogue Ranks has to say with his very reasonable takes. Maybe I'm being a pessimist. Who knows? Let's see.
An eternal night, an elusive, an endless wait, an eternal night, an elusive number 6. Sure, it's been 14 years since our last mainline Elder Scrolls title, but remember,
now we're almost at 15. There was somebody, okay, that saw their dad at 3 to 4 years old playing Skyrim when it launched, who is now in college.
the real treasure were the skeevers we've killed along the way.
Yeah, screw them.
Oblivion Remastered cited some thirst for a new Elder Scrolls. I still feel like a man stranded in a desert, crawling and desperate for just a drop of water, as Todd Howard rides up with a smile and hands me a saltine cracker with Starfield stamped onto it instead.
Or Fallout 76, or at least, at least for Elder Scrolls fans, he doesn't do the, well, you have ESO. He doesn't really do that. Have you noticed that? He doesn't really do it. People constantly ask him about Fallout, and maybe it's just because of the show or whatever, but people constantly ask him about Fallout, and he's like, we have the most devs we've ever had working on Fallout right now, today. And what he means is, well, we're doing a crossover with Call of Duty and Fortnite, and we're also going to be doing all of this stuff in Fallout 76 that you're not interested in, and all this other stuff. But he doesn't really do that with Elder Scrolls. And maybe it's because he knows that they're about to get like a big dose, a big serving. My camera just went out of focus. Focus on me. He's focused on the goblin. Look at me, damn you. It doesn't want to focus on me. It's rebelling. The camera's fighting back. Now I'm just permanently out of focus. This is a YouTuber's worst nightmare. The ghost of Todd is back indeed. Alexa, turn off studio. Alexa, turn on studio. Much better. Sometimes you just got to turn it off and on again. Here we go. Continuing.
While speculations for a new Elder Scrolls are high, I'm trying to temper my own hype and expectations, as Bethesda has a lot to prove with a new title in their mainline series, and I need to keep in mind that I'll likely be playing this game in a nursing home. Even still, while I expect little to even none of this list to actually make the cut, it's fun to break down and discuss what my personal Elder Scrolls 6 wishlist looks like, and if you find yourself enjoying the video, comment your own wishlist items below, and like and subscribe for more. Now, in no particular order, let us dream. World and setting. With the Elder Scrolls 6 teaser trailer that was released only... Wait, that can't be right. 7 years ago? Okay, well, it doesn't necessarily confirm the setting. It does seem to highly indicate what has been suspected for a long time as the actual setting for 6, Hammerfell and or High Rock. Two areas outside of Elder Scrolls Online that we really haven't seen other than mentions of since Daggerfall or the legendary Elder Scrolls Adventures Redguard. Well,
I mean, I think honestly, for the vast majority of the players that will actually be playing this, is it out of focus again? No, it's okay. I think most people don't really care about the setting that much. I think for the average player, it pretty much comes down to, is it going to be snowy? Or is there going to be water? Or is it going to be like forested? Or is it like deserty? I think that that's where most of the like casual players are. My camera is like freaking out, dude. What's your problem? Oh, wait, I see what it's doing. It's trying to identify. Is it Todd? I'm not joking. I think it's Todd. Dude, I think it's Todd. It's trying to lock onto his face when it faces the camera. That's freaking hilarious. It literally is the ghost of Todd. Praise Todd. Yes, indeed. That's so funny. Oops. Well, that's funny. Anyway, I don't know. I'll keep it on the camera. It's freaking out. Sorry.
The size and scale of Tamriel has shifted throughout the series. We shouldn't feel beholden to any canon as far as the actual land masses of the provinces go. I think ideally we would see both, or large swaths of both provinces in the Elder Scrolls 6. Providing the opportunity for vastly different biomes, creatures, enemies, cultures, and architecture within the same game. And seeing as how at this rate we'll be due another Elder Scrolls after 6 by 2080, I'd love to see both provinces realized at some point in a modern entry. But honestly, Hammerfell...
Or they're just going to fully lean into the live service thing and they're going to do, you know, the expansion with a new map or something. Never put it past them. Like, Todd is a businessman at the end of the day. And I think that he knows... They're not getting to Elder Scrolls 6 or Elder Scrolls 7 while he's at the company, I don't think. Again, realistically, let's just be honest. I don't see how that works. I don't see how the math works. Like, again, just to put it in perspective, he is right now, I believe, 55. Okay? So he's 55 in 2020. I think that was as of 2025. Whoops, I know numbers. Come on. 25. So Fallout 5 probably comes out 2032. Let's be honest. Maybe sooner, maybe later, but 2032 is like pretty conservative. 7 years later, that puts him at 62 years of age. I'm guessing they want to try to do like a Starfield something. So this would be Fallout 5. So Starfield 2 in 20, let's say 5 years later, 37, and that would put him at 67. And then if he dares to try and do ES7, by the time that he, realistically would be working on it, let's say they got even more efficient, 2041. These don't even sound like real numbers yet, do they? 4 years later would put him at 71. 71 is a rough age to still be a game director. Like, it's tough. It's not impossible. There are older devs that have worked in the industry forever. There's older creatives that work as like directors on films and stuff all the time. That's certainly possible. But there's a reason why a lot of people retire at 65. More efficient, they become less efficient. I'm trying to be generous. Okay. He's right there and his ghost is upset. It's messing with the camera. I gotta work with me. But like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, if we're just looking at this stretch, maybe they decide to cut Starfield 2 and do Elder Scrolls 7 right after Fallout 5, but that would still mean that he's going to be 67. And like, here's the deal. Todd, from all accounts that I've come across, he likes his nice things. He likes his racing cars. He likes his speedboats. He loves video games. But you know the video game Todd said that he is like most excited for year in, year out, that he like puts the most time into? It's that whatever NCAA college football game. Like those are the games he plays. Okay. So like I think that he will enjoy working on these things, but like at 67 years old, does he really want to be in the trenches day in, day out? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. So I think it's very likely that he knows this is the last Elder Scrolls he works on, realistically, other than maybe spin-off stuff. And at that point, if he ever wants to do anything more in it, either he'll just let it fully sunset, or he'll want to keep updating it with live updates and expansions. But I think that this is like fairly conservative, because there's also rumors and rumblings that maybe it is that they don't do Starfield 2 right after. Maybe they do something else. There's been rumors over like a Starfield 76 type offering, a space exploration, sort of their version of No Man's Sky. I don't know how well that goes, to be honest, but who knows what they end up doing.
In and of itself could provide a rich and vibrant setting, completely juxtaposed to the snowy peaks and tundras of Skyrim. While the Alakir Desert is probably Hammerfell's best known area, in canon the entire province is an extremely dense, diverse region with tropical jungles, large grasslands, swamps, arid deserts, and heavily wooded mountain ranges, so I wouldn't necessarily be concerned with diverse areas, even if the game took place entirely within Hammerfell. However, the reason I want to include High Rock, in addition to just wanting to see more of the warring nobility and fractured rulers of the Bretons, is primarily for Iliac Bay and what that could mean for brand new gameplay systems, namely seafaring and ships.
Boats, baby! I love me some boats and sailing. Like I said, I think if you're going to do a game on the coast, it just makes sense to give players a ship. But this is what I'm going to be real with, okay? Todd, baby, listen to me. If we have ships in the game and I can only sail on them through load screens, I'm finna crash out. Okay, like actually, I'm gonna lose it. Because if it's like, hey, welcome to the port of Sentinel. Welcome. Would you like to take your ship and sail to the island of Cybiades? Yes, I would. Okay. Welcome back. You've arrived at the island of Cybiades. Oh, yes. Actually, I meant to sail my ship to Shalgora. Oh, okay. We can do that. Welcome to the shore of Shalgora. I'm going to lose it, dude. We're going to lose it officially. You know, like this is probably coming in 2028, man. Like if you can't get a boat working, what are we doing? What are we doing? I feel like I'm not asking for much, but this is apparently like I've spoken to devs and modders. You guys have probably seen the videos. The way that the creation engine works is just unfriendly to this type of thing. And it's because when a map is spawned and created, it creates like the 0,0 coordinates. And the further out from that center point basically you get, the less accurate the like placement for characters, objects, and things gets because of how they handle floating point integers and stuff. Which is why for Starfield you reached a hard limit, right? Of a certain number of kilometers that you could go away from that 0 point. And apparently there's just no fix. Like there's no easy way to fix it without like re-engineering huge chunks of the engine, which is what every other studio has done 20 years ago because they foresaw this shortcoming. BGS never did that. So here we are. Because they didn't think it was important. I think it's important for the types of games they want to make, but here we are.
Yeah, basically the setting could be Daggerfall 2. The ability to hire, pilot, crew, or even purchase your own ship and sail the bay battling pirates.
It's a common thing in many engines. Yes, to be clear, it was actually something, there's a great example of it called the Farlands in Minecraft, where if you reached beyond a certain point, the like game's ability to generate terrain would break and you'd get all these bizarre structures. If you want to look it up, like look up Minecraft. I guess I can show you. I'm the YouTuber. Damn it. Minecraft. Minecraft the Farlands. This is the kind of thing it would show you.
The Farlands, possibly the most infamous bug in Minecraft's history since the
Okay.
beginning of Infinite World.
And this was because of the very same thing that plagues the creation engine. These bizarre structures. It's the same basic programming flaw. They fixed it with Minecraft though. They never fixed it with the creation engine. So it's a common thing in game engines, but typically the engineers, what's that term? It's one that BGS never used. They fix it. They didn't do that.
Greater underwater exploration, or even purchase your own ship and sail the bay battling pirates with greater underwater exploration and discovery could be the massive innovation a decades-old series like Elder Scrolls could use.
Dude, for real, if you could actually go, imagine like with AC Odyssey. Again, AC Odyssey gets way too much hate. It really, really does. I've said that for years before it was popular to say that AC Odyssey is underrated. Nowadays, people look back on it like, actually, it's pretty good. I'm like, bro, I was saying this and people were mad at me, you know, called me a shill. But dude, I think AC Odyssey is underrated. And one of the things they did great was not just the sailing, but they also had like points of interest, shipwrecks and stuff. AC Odyssey shipwreck. Let me see if I can find a little clip of it. Is this one? Like you could actually go out and sail and you could find points of interest in the water. Like, look at this. If this is something that you could see in Elder Scrolls 6, where you can actually sail a ship, like how cool would that be? Look, you can actually spot it and then he's actually going to go down and swim to it. If this were in Elder Scrolls 6, we would be praising Bethesda for how groundbreaking this was. Like, this would be so cool to have in an Elder Scrolls game. Can you imagine? The problem is Odyssey was a bad or a meh AC game. That's absolutely true. As an Assassin's Creed game, it was meh. But as like an open world adventure fantasy RPG, bro, it's really good. It's really good. It even has its own mini version of the Nemesis system with like the mercenaries and stuff. It's really cool. But anyway, that's a topic for another video. Anyways, continue on. I do agree that this particular setting could give them the opportunity to do all sorts of crazy cool stuff. I'm not sure that they'll do it. Skirban says, how is it every time you talk about Elder Scrolls 6, I get sad about a new thing? Stop that. It's not my fault. It kind of is.
The bugs associated with ship-to-ship boarding in combat would be legendary in and of themselves. This of course necessitates a vast overhaul to water dynamics and physics and many other systems, but the idea of being able to pilot or even customize your own ship as seen in Starfield, even in place of a homestead type of system, could be incredibly cool if done well. That's a really large if. Also, given the popularity of Skyrim, I imagine they may want to do a similar character power system like the Dragonborn, which is pretty obvious to me seeing as how it was almost one-to-one copied within Starfield.
Like, dude, literally, and this is what I've said, like, earlier to start this segment. Like, they kind of just do the same game leading into this next game, leading to the next game. And with Starfield, like, it literally was Skyrim in space, where they just were like, yeah, full on, let's just do Fus Roda. But instead of pushing, we'll go zero gravity. And like they just added all of this.
With the Starborn, super creative name. And Hammerfell does give me an interesting idea on how...
Thank you, Ethan, for the sub. Ethex. It's ETHXN, so maybe Ethan, I don't know. Thank you for the sub.
To adapt that sort of system to the setting, though I will touch on that more in the questing section. So while I think Hammerfell and High Rock present many unique and compelling opportunities for quests and characters, and is probably the most likely, my more out there wishlist setting is Black Marsh. The massive rainforest and mostly inhospitable swampy homeland of the Argonians, Black Marsh would have the potential to be the most frankly batshit crazy setting within the entire series.
That would be cool.
With huge swaths of the land covered in poisonous gases, diseases, and swamps, heavy jungle aesthetics, incredibly deadly creatures, and
And Link is there too. That's crazy. What a crossover.
Denizens and completely fantastical cultures and religions with the Hist. As a lover of Morrowind, Black Marsh could be even more alien and almost incomprehensible as a setting, which is why I would absolutely love it, and also why it will absolutely never be made. Basically, whatever type of skooma the devs were huffing during Morrowind needs to be brought back into the studio. Either
Dude, can we take a moment to just appreciate how sad it is that even hardcore fans of Elder Scrolls are like, this would be so cool. Which means it's never going to happen. Never getting it. Like, that's sad, man. Any other studio, you'd hope that people would be like, they might. That'd be so cool. But dude, like, the level of expectation. This is why I think it's kind of stupid when people are like, I think expectations for Bethesda are too high. Bro, they are low. They're so low. Maybe among the casual audience, there's people that think they're still capable of doing some of this stuff, but it seems to me like all of the online discourse, at least, is just people being like, wow, the game boots. Okay, Todd. Color me surprised. Like, it's far from forgiving.
way, I'd want the story to take place canonically after the event
Potato Nader, thank you. Love you, Luke, baby. Keep being my guy. You keep being my little potato. You keep being my little potato. Nailed it.
needs to be brought back into the studio. Either way, I'd want the story to take place canonically after the events of Skyrim to maintain the continuity of the series.
Great.
Hopefully lessons were also learned hard with Starfield, which not only embraced the tired saying, wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle, but seemed to make that its guiding North Star field in its design. Denser regions, richer areas, cities, and towns, rather than just massive scale, would be hugely appreciated.
Depth over width, but this is one moment where I'm gonna hit you with a truth bomb. Ready? Bethesda doesn't tend to make a system and then never use it again. Except for one very particular instance. I want to see if anybody in chat can get it. Typically when they build something, they reuse it in the next game, whether you like it or not. Boom! Does anyone in chat know the one time they did build something and then abandon it? Can anybody think? Yes, Caleb got it. Voice protagonist. People didn't love that. You know, it was a fun experiment for Fallout 4, but I think that, I remember listening to some interviews around launch where Todd was like, you know, this was what our thought process was. And it sort of is an experiment. And the vibe I got from the interview at the time was that he maybe was like, didn't really work out the way we wanted it to. So next time we won't. And sure enough, like with Starfield, they went a different direction. With even Fallout 76, when they added all sorts of dialogue options with the whatever, was it the Wastelanders update? One of those. When they added one of the updates to bring voiced characters and NPCs to the game, they went back to the traditional style. So they did walk away from that, even though they built that out. But the reason I bring this up is because if they built out procedural generation for big expansive maps, I think the odds are very, very low that they totally abandon that. I just do. Like, I think if they put all the time and money into that, I think it's very likely that they will have some implementation of that procedural generation in Elder Scrolls 6. My guess is that they use it, and I think this would be the best way to use it. They do sort of a Chalice Dungeons type thing, just like Bloodborne did. They do like a series of progressively more challenging dungeons that are procedurally generated, offer loot, and it's sort of like an end game grind thing. Do that. I hope they don't do something where it's like, hop on your ship and sail to the Mystery Lands, which is just procedurally generated maps. You know, I think that could get really, really boring really quickly.
Vigilante 5498 donated $20 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Hey Luke, sorry to interrupt, but just wanted your take on Overwatch finally dropping the charade, and 2, I don't think I have ever seen a company completely delete a sequel before.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, what I will say is, like, we can make fun of them for dropping the name and the wasted years and years, but to just look at where the game is now. I played it with my friends and some family members last night, and I will say that the game was fun for the first time in a long time for us. I don't know if it's just that there's more players. I don't know if it's that they rebalance things, if it's the new characters. Like, I don't know exactly what it is, but what I do know is that the game was a lot more fun than it's been in a very long time. And I personally think it's because they were forced to get their act together and actually try, which is something they didn't really do until Marvel Rivals came along. But it seems like Rivals gave them enough of a kick in the pants to be like, ooh, okay, we got to try. And it's really good to see because the game, I think, is better for it. Overwatch 2 was always kind of a joke. Let's be honest. It was always kind of a joke. So it's nice to see that they're actually trying now. Yeah, Jacob says Jetpack Cat is the best addition they've made in years. Yeah, dude. I mean, they've done good work and they should be proud of it. And I'm just glad to see them trying again.
It leads me to think that a combined Hammerfell and High Rock would likely be biting off more than Bethesda can chew. Really, regardless of the setting, I just want to see a return of much more fantastical architecture, creatures, cultures, and traditions. While the series has always had a very high fantasy approach to its design, feeling like a stranger in a strange land to the extent of Morrowind again would be incredible. Role-playing and character. While I love the Elder Scrolls, obviously, where the more modern entries, and I say modern including Oblivion, which is almost 20 years old, succeed for me is in their world design, interactivity, and breadth of options and freedom, but can falter in some deeper, dare I say, crunchier RPG mechanics. While over the years the sentiment that Skyrim fails as an RPG is common, I must disagree somewhat. Skyrim offers a freedom of gameplay and world interaction that I honestly don't think is realized with any other game. You can embrace your dragonbornness, you can take your place as leader of a guild, you can ignore it all and take up a quiet life blacksmithing in a small town. Just ignore the odd vampire or dragon attack. You can just go run off into the woods as a naked primal hunter. You can build a house, start a family, spend your days reading dozens of books by the fire. Fundamentally, you can take the role of anything, playing however you want, and experiencing character growth and development throughout, even if it's fairly shallow. I think what is generally meant by it lacking deep RPG mechanics is regarding choice and consequence, which is fair enough, as many factions, questlines, and story beats either can't be changed or impacted by your actions, or have only the barest of changes outside of a few rare instances. And there's also no limit on what you can be or join or do. You can just kind of do anything at any point.
Yeah, and this is why I've called it like a junk food game, like a junk food RPG, or a junk food adventure game, open world game, whatever you want to call it. And it's basically just, the idea is you're not going to get any substance from it. It's not going to fill your tummy too much, but it's really easy to just and just kind of mindlessly consume. If you don't think about it too much or worry too much about the ingredients or what it's doing to you, you can have a good time. And I think if you play a game like Skyrim that way, you can have a really good time. My point, and what I've been trying to raise, is that I think audiences in 2026, or likely 2028 when this launches, I think they have different tolerances and different expectations than they did back in 2011. And I think that's kind of obvious, at least to me. But I think if you tried to deliver Skyrim today, let's just say Skyrim relaunches, same gameplay systems, but like graphically upgraded and stuff like that. It's just Skyrim, but a little prettier. I think if you launched it and wiped the world consciousness of Skyrim's reputation and everything, I don't think it would be met today with the same level of like laudation. I don't think it would like click in the same way, because it was unapologetically a product of its time in a really good way. That's why it was so exceptional in its time. But that's why you can't just make Skyrim 2. You can't just do like, you know, the same, you know, wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle thing. You have to have more depth, because I think that players have started to expect that. And with big games like The Witcher 3, like Baldur's Gate 3, breaking into the mainstream, giving players a taste of what depth is really like, I think that that's what they would come to expect.
Where the discussion really lies.
Yeah, load screens is a big one. That's also just one of those expectations. Yeah, exactly. Where like players nowadays expect no load screens. So when they see a ton of load screens while exploring an open world, or they see their experience broken up with a lot of load screens, it's jarring.
Is defining what an RPG actually is, as it's such a broadly applied term in gaming that can apply from things like Final Fantasy to Cyberpunk to Elden Ring, which are almost incomparable games other than your character levels up and there are stats.
For real.
It's not a discussion I want to get into in this video, but while the Elder Scrolls series has slowly sacrificed more traditional D&D inspired stat crunching and options for accessibility and mainstream appeal, it hasn't all been bad in my humble opinion. Okay.
And maybe this is a hot take. Counsel me, I don't care, just my opinion. I think Gamers are a lot smarter than they get credit for. I think you can have a really complex leveling system and players will figure it out. I don't think you have to dumb it down for them. Okay? Okay. I think that, you know, the success of something like Elden Ring kind of demonstrates that. That is a very complicated game if you make it very complicated. But most players were like, I have a sword that scales with strength. I'll just keep putting more points in vitality and strength. Call it a day. I'm going to go with a bonk build. Like, that's what they're doing. They just don't really worry about it. I think that there's this assumption that every gamer out there is DSP, and that's not the case.
Okay, I'll admit, Skyrim did oversimplify way too much in regards to RPG elements, namely streamlining and removing attributes and classes. However, at the same time, it also introduced perk trees and even new dedicated skill types, like...
The cool thing about Skyrim's leveling system, though, is that it's entirely based around what you do. So if you do something more, you will get better at it. And if you never do anything, you will stay bad at it. So if you never wear heavy armor or use heavy armor, you will stay incompetent when it comes to that thing. Same with two-handed weapons, same with enchanting or restoration spells or whatever. And I thought that that was genuinely really cool. I think you could still do things, maybe even sub-leveling within each of these to add some more depth and complexity. Because Skyrim was kind of one of those games where you just kind of do whatever you want. And like he said, it'll level you up as you do that, which is why some people love it and why I think that it can work in the way that it was designed. But this is going to be really interesting to see if they go with the same type of leveling system for the next game or if they try to reinvent it.
Smithing and pickpocketing. However, I'd love to see Elder Scrolls 6 return to a deeper and more traditional level of characterization and building. What gives me some hope here is Starfield, which is a sentence that has never been said before. But for all its many faults, I thought the character development and creation was pretty good. Not incredible, but having the ability to choose fairly unique and gameplay changing traits with both positives and negatives and a background that could even impact some quests and dialogue options was a start. While I'm not expecting Baldur's Gate 3 level of characterization, taking some inspiration from that, or even to the extent of Starfield, would be a move in the right direction. The biggest one for me is probably the return of classes and having it more fully impact your playthrough. The world's reactivity to you, dialogue options, unique interactions, and more on your class could really expand the depth of your character and allow you to more fully immerse yourself into the journey. Sure, it's maybe in a way more limiting than Skyrim's free-for-all approach to character builds, but honestly, limits can be a good thing in crafting a unique and fun experience. But most importantly, when it comes to character, Elder Scrolls 6 should be more racist. I'm actually somewhat serious, as I find the race relations and unique interactions throughout the Elder Scrolls lore incredibly interesting, and having that further impact your playthrough, again, drives a deeper connection to your character and the world. And now this video is demonetized. Speaking of the world, reactivity in general to your actions is a big wishlist item for me, as I found Skyrim really lacking in this regard. While there is some, for the most part, despite your standing or state of the world, like resolving the Civil War storyline, nothing substantially changes or reacts, which is disappointing. I'd love to see a return to Morrowind's faction system, where joining factions or completing certain jobs for factions would ruin your reputation with others or even fully lock you out of them.
Yeah, I want to normalize games allowing you to break them. Let's get back to that, because for me, one of the things I really respect in an RPG is when they let you do something, even if it's going to run you straight into a brick wall. You know, like if I use the example all the time, but if I want to go into Fallout New Vegas and I want to just march straight over to Caesar and shoot him in, I should family friendly terms. If I march up to Caesar and pop a cap into his cranial cavity, the game lets me do that. Even though there's a bunch of quest lines and like endings and things specific to working with him, the game will let me do that. It will let me break that part of it because it respects my choice to do that. I hope they do that more.
At Dogmatic Socrates Mammalian M1268
What a
donated
name.
$10 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Multiplayer games are known for overly grindy gameplay. How concerned are you for Crimson Desert being extremely grindy? It sounds to me like everything Powers said would suggest it's going
to be. I think thank you for the 10, first of all. I do think that is a very valid concern. If I have the chance to talk to Will again, that's one of the things I'm going to ask him about, because I do think that it does sound, I mean, it's being made by a company that's known for MMOs. MMOs are all about total playtime. My guess would be there will be plenty of moments where it's like, okay, go do your own thing. Go do side stuff. Go level up. My point is grinding is okay if the grinding activity is fun. If it's engaging and something you're actually interested in and having a good time with. If it's bad, I'm not okay with that. You know, like if the content I'm grinding is fun, grind away. If it's repetitive, boring crap, I'm not interested. I don't want to go and just, you know, like in South Park, I don't want to just go and kill 150,000 boars to get enough XP to move on to the next quest. But if I'm like going and hunting and fighting original bosses and completing original story-based quest lines, then I'm okay with that type of grind. It just depends on what that grinded content is. But I do think that that is a fair question to bring up with Crimson Desert because we just don't know yet.
Faction conflicts, deceptions, power grabs, rivalries, it was all there. Maybe slightly basic, but attempted, and there is a massive opportunity to completely overhaul the faction system for Elder Scrolls 6 and create some incredibly in-depth and compelling quests, faction rewards, and conflicts. Mostly, I just don't want to be able to become the leader of every faction as the same character and absolutely not the freaking Archmage of the Mage's College by casting one single spell.
Yeah, after 15 minutes. I agree, and I think that this was also, I mean, this is one thing where Starfield would make me maybe cautious, you know, with this expectation and hope, because I do think that they should have reputation matter a lot more, but that means that they got to let you ruin your relationship completely with factions to the point where like they're willing to shoot you on sight. I had times where in Starfield I was experimenting and I went to what is it? The like police force, the space police force basically. And I went in there and I killed everybody except the quest givers don't die. They drop to all fours and pant. You leave for a while, you come back, they stood back up. And then they would talk to me and be like, "I'm upset with you." Because the dialogue like was not written anticipating I went on a murder spree. It was just like, if your reputation is not good, it's bad and they're mad at you. Even though like, bro, I just murdered everybody you know. And you're just like, it's you again. Like have be more angry, you know, shoot me.
Locking faction advancement to your actual attributes and level, again, something seen in Morrowind, maybe wasn't perfect for those wanting to do more niche builds, but at least created an environment where your character was expected to be good at something the faction required of you. It was much more realistic and immersive as well. To really summarize the role-playing and character section, I mostly just hope Bethesda saw the runaway and massive commercial success that was Baldur's Gate 3 and realized that you don't need to streamline or dumb down these systems to make a mass appealing game. And
the unfortunate reality though, I think, is that Baldur's Gate 3 was made and released well after these decisions were made. Like Starfield launched in 2023, Baldur's Gate launched like a week before Starfield. And I don't think they'd be able to pivot even if they wanted to. I think all of these decisions on leveling systems, what does that look like? All of that stuff is done in pre-production, is done in the early stages when they're figuring out what the game is actually going to be like. And they'll tweak them later on for sure, but I don't think that, I unfortunately don't think any lessons from Baldur's Gate 3 were really implemented into those big picture decisions for Elder Scrolls 6 because it came too late. I think all of those decisions were pretty much already made.
in fact, there's a huge appetite.
It was in early access for quite some time, yes, but nobody knew how big and mainstream the appeal would be until it fully launched into 1.0. Because I played it in early access. I followed it before it launched. I did not expect it, and Larian did not expect it to blow up the way that it did. So, like, I think most people expected it to work kind of like a Rogue Trader, where it's got a die-hard community of fans that really like how deep and complex it is, but it's not, like, mainstream. It ended up being mainstream, and I think that that would have woken up Bethesda to be like, ooh, so we can go mainstream and have depth. Cool, let's do that. But I think it came too late.
Streamline or dumb down these systems to make a mass appealing game. And in fact, there is a huge appetite out there for more in-depth and meaningful decisions and choices when it comes to your character's development. Combat overhaul. While I love each Elder Scrolls for a variety of reasons, combat's usually on the bottom of that list. What really needs to be done here is a full return to role-based combat like in Morrowind. Let me swing and miss that.
Dude, I'm so stupid. My brain was like, combat where you roll a lot? Okay, roll, R-O-L-E. Ah, that, yes, agreed.
Mudcrab with a rusty dagger 500 times and die in the first encounter as Vivek intended.
Roll. Classic.
Okay, that was a joke. In fact, the opposite should be the case. Having played my fair share of Vermintide, a full embrace of more visceral, meaty, reactive combat should be expected and hoped for here. I think
Dude, shout out Vermintide. That's a good time too. Yeah, I think an overhaul to like gore systems would help a lot because melee combat is just inherently difficult to feel punchy and like actually impactful. Forgive the pun. One of the easiest ways you can do it though is with like crazy high intensity gore where you whack them with the sword and the arm goes flying off. You hit him with the hammer and the blood sprays everywhere. That I think would do it.
Scrolls likes such as Tainted Grail and Avowed have shown what more dynamic combat could look like with dodges, parries, and an increase in martial abilities to unlock and master. It can do a lot for the general feel of first-person sword swinging. Bethesda really doesn't even necessarily need to look outside their own modding community to understand what could be improved here, as combat overhaul mods for Skyrim are very popular and see a vast improvement over the vanilla experience in ways I honestly think could still satisfy a 2035 or whenever it comes out audience. More weapon customization and specialties or masteries could be incredibly cool as well, with your character becoming more experienced and comfortable with your weapons of choice. Spears should also absolutely return, as they remain one of my favorite weapon types and are sorely missed since Morrowind as well. But with Hammerfell being a setting, it could present even more unique types of weapons such as slings, darts, and curved swords, skills, or perks. Dual wielding unique movesets and abilities, unarmed combat skill trees, the sky is the limit to make combat more in-depth and fun within Elder Scrolls 6, and it should feel intuitive, impactful, and brutal, though this has never been Bethesda's strong suit, even in their latest games, so I'm not exactly holding my breath on a vast overhaul here.
But they got Microsoft money now. They could go and hire some, I mean, they could literally go out if they wanted to and hire Vermintide devs. They could hire Darktide devs. They could hire anybody they want to come and like help them rebuild it in a way that fits their vision. It all comes down to the vision. If the vision is punchy, gory, and all the things he just said, they can do that. I've not seen anything like that. So my guess is their vision is just different. My guess is, again, it'll be probably Starfield, but with grass.
As magic goes, while yes, spellcrafting and creation should obviously return with many unique enchantments and spell effects outside of just damage or different damage type, I'd love to see a mix of Skyrim and Oblivion spell system here. I actually really love the dual-wielding system of Skyrim where you can have a spell or blade in either hand or both, allowing you to mix and match to your heart's content, but replaying through Oblivion Remastered has really made me appreciate the ability to use a two-handed weapon or sword and shield and still cast various spells. So I think a hybrid system for the best of both worlds would be great here. Retain the ability to have spells or weapons in either hand, or an unequipped spell ready that could be cast, maybe in a weaker fashion or with a different effect, allowing full player freedom in how you mix and match might and magic, with the introduction of unique spell effects that could interact with each other. For example, freezing an enemy then shattering them with another spell, or charming them then buffing them with a frenzied effect.
Yeah, systems interactivity is one of the things that like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom really showed how to do it. Like I still remember like two specific moments. I remember cutting down the tree in that starting Great Plateau in Breath of the Wild. You cut down the tree, the body of the tree, the log, trunk, that's the word, falls over across a ravine. And you hop up and you walk across. When I figured that out, bro, I felt like a genius. Because I was like, dude, there's no guide. There's no objective saying cut down the tree to make a bridge. You just do it. You figure it out. And once you realized you could do stuff like that, a whole world of opportunities opens up. And the devs are like challenging you. They're like, yeah, if you can figure out a way to like get past a certain objective or limit we've put with some creative solution, go for it. The second thing I remember very vividly was when I realized that you could light a patch of grass on fire. It would create the like smoke and heat effect above it. And you could jump up with your glider and it would actually catch the air and it would shoot you up. When I figured that out, it also was like, oh my God, that's so cool. It's like I can tie this system with this system and then this makes that do that. It was so cool. It was so cool. And I would love to see more stuff like that happen. The best examples within like D&D are the classic things with like create water. It fills the entire arena with water. And then you do some sort of shock spell or electric spell to actually go and electrocute everybody standing in that water. Things like that where the systems intertwine. I love it. And I would love to see more of that.
I don't know, this is just spitballing, and again, none of which will likely be realized, but is fun to discuss. Lastly, for combat, just bring the arena back. Even in its incredibly basic form in Oblivion, it remains a highlight within the game, and fun to play through every single time.
Oh, it's an easy peasy. AC, was it Origins? I think Origins had an arena as well. It's a super easy thing to do as far as I understand it, and it gives endless replay. You can give XP buffs and boosts and stuff from participating. It can be a good way to grind out gold or any sort of currency crafting materials in the late game. Like, absolutely include that.
Some more arena combat, please, as it would sure make me glad. Yeater. Immersion and simulation. Hardware and software have come a long way since 2011, and I hope with the fact that it won't need to fit on an Xbox 360 disc means that Elder Scrolls 6 can be vastly expanded upon in its world, NPCs, and overall interactivity. In regards to a
procedural
simulated
maps.
world, there's definitely a balance to be made here, because while I'd love to see a full return and expansion to Oblivion's Radiant AI systems, which was reduced in Skyrim and completely absent in Starfield, I also understand the massive constraints and issues this system presented for the developers. Outside of the hilarious bugs and unintended deaths of NPCs as they attempted to journey throughout the world and fulfill their schedules, there was a ton of work put into simulating lives for these characters, and it, as intended, brought them to life in a way that hasn't really been fully realized since. It definitely had many flaws, but I appreciated what was attempted here. However,
I agree, and it's something that a lot of studios, I guess this is another one you could add to the list of things that they built that they abandoned. I think it was a lot of work and they didn't think it paid off. But the Radiant AI, or what like KCD 2 did, which is very similar, or what Fable is reporting to do with NPCs that have day-night schedules. This is also something that Ubisoft did with AC Origins and Odyssey, with every NPC having a bed, a job assigned to them, full day-night routines that would actually play out and be simulated. It is really cool, but for some reason, like 6 to 8 years ago, devs just cut it out of everything, and it's so frustrating because it was so cool, and I don't know why they did that. Maybe to save CPU overhead or something, I don't know. But in KCD 2, let me see if I can find it. Is this it? Is this it? No, this isn't the exact article I'm thinking of. Basically, one of the KCD2 devs actually went and spoke at length about how they built out the NPC systems in KCD2. And it was fascinating. I mean, it was so cool because it was just like a ton of little bitty things that are all working together to make that happen. And it was just fascinating to see. Damn it, I don't see it. I don't know where I saved the article. Oh well. But basically, I think KCD2 had like 3,600 NPCs simulated across the map, which is absolutely wild, but it is doable nowadays, but it's not easy. And I hope that becomes more of a mainstay because it's freaking cool. Thanks for letting me know about the High Guard stuff, guys. We'll look at those.
However, due to both hardware and technological limitations, this Radiant AI system meant that the total number of NPCs had to be drastically reduced, resulting in cities that consisted of about 15 people and 5 buildings. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but a balance between realistic and dynamic citizens and population numbers could likely be reached in a way that's not completely immersion breaking, hopefully. Despite being high fantasy, I want the world to feel grounded, lived in, and realistic, with, if not lifelike, then serious depictions of different areas, towns, peoples, and cultures. So yes, larger cities and denser populations would be great, but at the same time, Starfield kind of saw that, and they were filled with randomly generated nameless NPCs, and honestly, even though there were technically more NPCs, it felt even more lifeless and forgettable than the much smaller town of Whiterun. It's all
That's true. It's absolutely true that these were technically bigger and did technically have more NPCs. That's true. With Starfield, though, even then, like, the cities were laughably small. Like, this is supposed to be a hub of civilization, and it was like 3 little zones, maybe a total of like 400 people walking around. You know, it did not feel like a hub of civilization. It did not feel like New Atlantis. You know, it just didn't. And I think that goes back to the idea of expectations and what players expect given their current tastes and also the other games that they've seen. You know, I just think that times have changed. People expect more.
PCs, it felt even more lifeless and forgettable than the much smaller town of Whiterun. It's all a facade, but it can be made stronger through some clever AI tools and behaviors, and having named citizens with their dedicated jobs and homes really helped to create a lived-in world. Again, I'm not saying Skyrim has the most incredible cities ever, because it obviously does not, but there is an illusion of life and simulation that I want to see further extended in Elder Scrolls 6 in a way that was unfortunately completely ignored within Starfield.
I think that that's very accurate, though. Illusion of life and simulation. Realistically, does it actually matter if you can follow the blacksmith to his house and then to the forge and then back to his house at nighttime? Does it actually matter? Is that going to make your gameplay time quantifiably better? Probably not, but what it's going to do is it's going to add to your level of immersion, taking the world seriously and making it feel lived in, because a lot of gameplay is also about how it feels. I think that's also why people get so upset over like character designs, because if they see somebody walking around the world who feels out of place and feels like they're being put there for some reason other than it makes sense in the world, it pulls you out of it. It disconnects you from it. You know, like if I'm playing in Elder Scrolls 6 and I'm walking around and it's like, you know, a muddied peasant and a hard and brutish blacksmith, a mercenary on the road. And then I walk up here and Andy Dick is just on the ground breakdancing because he's promoting his new Amazon show, Getting Dicked. I would lose my sense of immersion. You see, that's what would happen. Even though it wouldn't technically ruin my fun in all the other areas of the map, it would pull me out of the game. You see, that's what it would do.
Different towns have specialties such as fishing or trading or military. Could be a great touch too, and having them
actually, you're right. Now that I say that loud, that would actually be pretty cool. I would actually, you know what? Let's do it. This is not a joke. Is Andy Dick actually alive? I don't actually know. I remember seeing a story that he's like on the street, like full on drug addict. I don't know. Hope he figures it out. Sorry to be a bummer, but like I legitimately don't know if he's alive.
Towns have specialties such as fishing or trading or military. Could be a great touch too, and having them make logical sense in their layout and surrounding areas goes a long way. I think Rockstar is actually the master of developing these kind of spaces, at least for me with something like Red Dead Redemption 2. While that level
Oh, no need to give me money about the Highguard devs. I see it. Don't worry. Don't worry, I see it. We'll look at it right after this.
Of developing these kind of spaces, at least for me with something like Red Dead Redemption 2. While that level of detail and care is frankly ridiculous, for instance, the Saint Denis power lines actually run where they should and all originate from an electric company within the city, it's those small details that Bethesda excels at as well, as I find their environmental storytelling almost or even exceeding that level at times. An actual world economy with prices and trade goods varying town to town could be fun as well. Doesn't need to be super in-depth, but seeking and holding certain goods knowing they will sell better along one of the coastal towns as opposed to the desert could be an extremely immersive way to generate more gold or even create trading kind of questlines. So fantastic environmental design and layouts are hoped for and expected, though Starfield doesn't give a whole lot of confidence here. Lastly, for immersion, I'd like to see some survival mechanics, though I generally find them tedious and annoying to deal with more than anything, but I can't deny that they add quite a bit to the immersive feel of being grounded as your character within the world. Dealing with temperatures, especially within the Alakir Desert, and needing to prepare or dress accordingly, maybe not requiring food and sleep but providing buffs in addition to rested, or seeing stamina impacted could add to the immersion.
Absolutely. Immersion's an important thing in an open world adventure game. It really is. Like, it's crucial. I mean, I think whether it's you got to have some, you know, cold drinks prepared before you head into the deserts, or you got to have, you know, a different type of garb so that you're not wearing woolly mammoth skin while you go into 120-degree heat. Like, those types of things matter. And I think the easy thing is just be like, no one cares. It's fine. Who cares? When you play World of Warcraft, do you really care if like the layers you're wearing correlate to, oh no, you're wearing 5 layers of clothing and you're going into a swamp. Nobody cares. Sure. But there's a certain, like, I think it's easy to say nobody cares to those types of things. And that's what happens a lot. And that's what keeps a lot of games from getting to that next level of immersion, you know, where you actually do need to care. Because there are people that care, whether they realize it or not. It's why Kingdom Come Deliverance, I've told you guys, and many of you guys played the games because I told you, trust me, it's amazing. Once you give yourself over to Kingdom Come 1 and 2, you will have one of the most immersive gameplay experiences of your life. There isn't really anything quite like it. Red Dead 2 also does a phenomenal job of making you feel immersed in the world. And I think that is what players are really expecting and demanding. And it's one of those things that's hard to put into words when you just like, you feel immersed in a world and you want to explore more of it. It's hard to describe, but when you feel it and when it's working, nothing like it.
Expect if there's anything, however, it will be similar to Starfield's vanilla experience, where certain mechanics like that could be toggled on or off, while not necessarily being a full survival experience. And honestly, I'd be okay with that. Writing and quests. Gameplay and immersion is all well and good, but what I've found increasingly critical for me lately in truly enjoying an RPG is the quality of its writing, and I hate to say Bethesda has a lot of work to be done here. I know I keep referencing Starfield, but, well, it's our only point of reference for the studio. It's not a decade old, and whoo boy, does that game not inspire confidence in its writing and tone. Okay, my dirty little dark secret is that I actually enjoyed large parts of Starfield.
Boom, canceled, get him. No, I'm kidding.
Exploration and writing were awful, but shipbuilding, combat, some biomes and areas were fairly enjoyable and relaxing to discover for me. And while I think there's maybe a handful, if that, of quests and stories that either made me chuckle or just feel a human emotion of some kind, the rest was frankly embarrassing. Cliche, cookie cutter, cutesy, and clueless, Starfield's writing was, to put it simply and shortly, juvenile. Juvenile in its tone, attempts at humor or edginess, and just juvenile in its quality. Neon as a concept and location should have just been completely redone, and the NASA punk, excitable explorers of many of its main characters and quest lines fell completely flat. So I'll just...
I can right now come up with a more interesting character than they have in the entirety of Starfield. Are you ready? You ready? A robot companion that is powered and controlled by an AI, but the AI was trained in 2026 on exclusively the music of Notorious B.I.G. So the entire game, it only speaks to you in lyrical style, low-key yelling at you. And yes, you can romance him. That, imagine. I think that would be way better than anything we got, frankly. It sounds like Borderlands 3. Okay, actually. I'm just saying, having anything like that would at least be something. The problem is, like, if I blocked out this guy's name, I realize it's on screen. So I was going to be like, what's his name? But it's on screen. I'm betting most people who played Starfield wouldn't be able to tell you the names of everybody that's in this room, the core characters and like that main Constellation questline, because they're all so forgettable.
Saying Elder Scrolls 6 should have good writing is simplifying it. Well, it just should. I want true moral dilemmas. I want a darker, more serious tone and atmosphere. I want decisions to have weight, or even to appear to have weight. In general, I just want the lore, setting, and stories to be taken seriously, and with both gravitas and nuance. It's fine if everything isn't handed to the player up front, and in many moments throughout the Elder Scrolls series, this has actually been the case, where the kindly old lady you just helped turned out to be in a coven of witches, something you may have never discovered unless you looked for it. The world should be violent. Hammerfell and its people should be a story of decay and survival against the most extreme of odds. The wars and political maneuverings of High Rock should be heavy subjects. Having nuanced characters with their own beliefs and perspectives and biases should come into play. I know this may sound like a lot, but honestly, given some of the incredible storytelling and mature themes we've seen handled in other RPGs lately, such as Baldur's Gate 3 or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, or even titles within this franchise itself, it should be what's expected. I know the writing and story have never been the biggest focus for these games, but a level of seriousness and competence here would go a long way in making Elder Scrolls 6 feel like a contemporary RPG rather than a relic of old school approach to storytelling.
I agree. I would love for that to be the case. I just don't think so. Again, if you're going to figure out like what's likely, you just look at who's there and their past work. All the people working on Elder Scrolls 6 are the same people that worked on Starfield, and the same people that defended Starfield and said they thought it was actually really good, and that while there were people that liked it less, there were a lot of people who loved it. And then when people told them that they were crazy and they needed to listen to criticism, they left Twitter and only went over to Blue Sky, which was more of an echo chamber that was nicer to them. I've heard. So I would love for this to be the case, but I'm not going to get my hopes up at all.
While I would consider good writing, as nebulous as that term is, to be the bare minimum, branching questlines and impactful story choices would be my next wishlist item. Again, it's been something we've seen throughout the series to varying degrees of success, but pushing that further creates a much more compelling narrative as you journey throughout the world. Speaking of, I mentioned before an idea about just basically copying the concept and powers of a Dragonborn within Elder Scrolls 6, something we did see copied in Starfield. If the game were to take place in Hammerfell, I think allowing or even forcing the main character to have sword singer abilities and gifts could be incredibly cool and unique and likely drive the main narrative in some way. Sword singing is definitely one of the cooler parts of Redguard lore and a fan favorite deep cut that we really don't know that much about, allowing for really anything to be done here. While the lore and focus of sword singers has been Redguard and Yokuden focused, it could always be hand-waved away to present some incredibly powerful and unique combat and magical abilities you could bring to bear, such as being a Dragonborn and not being a Nord. As really any type of character, whether mage or fighter or stealth archer, could take advantage of certain abilities like this. New sword singing lore and techniques could be discovered or unlocked through duels with ancient Yokuden specters, which would be powerful boss fights reminiscent of Skyrim's dragon battles. It's not really a super original idea by me, I've seen it floated around for a while, but it is very cool and I think it could create for a unique yet engaging narrative.
I agree.
Lastly, for questing and writing, voice acting and actors should remain the exact same. Throw one or two celebrities in there or well-known actors for good measure. Maybe Keanu is available to be Johnny Redguard, a ghost who travels with us and chimes in periodically, but other than that, I want to keep hearing the same 4 voice actors with all different characters throughout the world again and again. Let's just call it the Bethesda charm. Lastly, for general features, get a load of this one: less loading, please. I know this is a big component of the creation engine, and for all its faults, including loading, it does enable a level of interactivity not seen with most other game engines. But whatever can be done to reduce and remove loading screens is critical to the overall enjoyment of Elder Scrolls 6. Even playing Oblivion Remastered, as quick as the load times are, having them even within the same building if you go up one floor, or 3 to 4 times within some of the larger caves and dungeons, is absolutely painful. A more seamless world creates more seamless fun. You can use that one, Todd, that's on me. Dynamic events throughout the world would be great.
It's true. And they are going to be overhauling this with the Starfield 2.0 updates. Maybe. Possibly. My understanding is they're going to basically just play like a little video on the screen while the load screen happens behind it to cover it up. So like when you fast travel from planet to orbit or something, they cover up that load with an animation to make it seem more immersive and seamless, which should help. But my understanding is that those things that he's describing with like loading between floors or loading within a cave and stuff, that's just an artifact of the creation engine, and to fix it would require a lot more work than I think they're willing to do
as well, which many mods...
Yeah, I see the Highguard stuff, guys. Thank you. We're close. Almost. I'll look at it. Just a second. I got you. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for letting me know.
Actually focus on, and going back to vanilla Skyrim, I really forgot how far and few between these sorts of things happen. Random bandit encounters, factions battling on the roads, beast attacks, these create again a much richer and more lifelike world. And seeing as how this is a wish list, lastly, should I wish for the fabled co-op or multiplayer? No. As fun as that might be, and that's a huge might, the last thing I play the Elder Scrolls for is to have a buddy Leroy Jenkinsing into dungeons or yelling at me through Discord. Multiplayer is not on my wish list because it's likely something I would never engage with these types of games. I'll just stay lonely, thank you very much. And that's sort of it. Certain things go without saying: performance, stability, mod support, but I feel like I hit on all the major wishlist items I have at this time, other than, you know, the game just existing in the first place. I know this is a much more rambling...
No, I thought that was very good. Well done, Rogue Ranks. I appreciate the video. I think it was quite good. I really liked it. I agree. I think all of the points that he raised are totally fair. As for the co-op, if they do that, it's possible it comes as like an update after launch. I could see them trying that, especially as ESO starts to get older. But I'm hopeful that that's not their priority, because they struggle to make solid games when they're just doing single player stuff. Imagine if they're trying to balance it for 2 players, like with drop-in co-op. I'd be worried about that. But anyway, good video. Go over there, subscribe to Rogue Ranks, send him some love. Okay, I'm looking at this. Okay, guys, I see the story. New segment. It's happened, guys. It happened. Unfortunately, like, this is a story as a tale as old as time. It's how we all thought this was going to end, but here we are. One of the level designers working on Highguard has posted to LinkedIn. What did he say? Unfortunately, along with most of the team at Wildlight, the developer behind Highguard, I was laid off today. This one really stings, as there was a lot of unreleased content I was really looking forward to that I and others designed for Highguard. However, I'm excited for my next adventure. If your team or anyone needs an experienced level designer, hit me up. Check out my portfolio here to see what I've done the last 7 years as a level designer in the space. And he shares his resume with a bunch of stuff that he worked on. Ridgeline, Respawn, probably Monsters, Apex Legends, all sorts of stuff. And this has been corroborated by other people who are reporting that Highguard's developer is seeing mass layoffs across the board. It looks like most of the team has been shut down, and it's frankly not that surprising. If we look at like the Steam charts, again, not to just rub dirt in the wound, but if we look at those, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that these numbers are not sustainable for a team of like 100 people. It just doesn't work. The math isn't there. And this was my point from the beginning, is that there's probably people who would play Highguard. Even now, there's 2,000 plus people playing it. For an indie game, that's fantastic. But for a 100-person team with hundreds of millions of dollars dependent on it, that does not work. It just does not work. As a concept, I don't think Highguard ever made sense. What sucks again is that the people who made these decisions, they don't lose their jobs. They don't get screwed over, really. They're just fine. It's the individual developers, the level designers, those people who are incredibly talented that get laid off and suffer the repercussions of a project that frankly never should have been greenlit. Can you imagine how different this story could have been if Jeff got on stage and said, former Respawn devs, they worked on Titanfall and Apex Legends, and they're bringing to you a spiritual successor to a series that everybody loves. Check it out. And it goes into a trailer for a spiritual successor to Titanfall 3, shadow dropping 3 weeks later. Bro, this would be a very different story. But they didn't do that. Instead, they decided to pursue a live service free-to-play offering that looked incredibly generic and uninspired and uninteresting. And so people were willing to try it. This is what is so insane, is that people look at this and are like, people just needed to give it a chance. Dude, a lot of studios would kill for this many day one players. Like, estimates were that 1 million people, these are just on Steam. Estimates, if you average them out, 1 million plus players tried Highguard at launch. And only 2,000 stuck around. That shows you that, like, they just weren't, it wasn't good enough to hold their attention. Okay, it wasn't where it was. And this is the reaction the internet collectively had. And you know what happened? People like you and me, we were accused of being like bad faith critics. We were accused of trying to hate on it, that we were rooting for the game's downfall, when we were looking at it and just saying, it just doesn't look very good, bro. It just doesn't. I don't need to eat the whole meal to tell if the first bite is unappealing, or frankly, if it, I'm reading the menu. I didn't even try the meal. I just read the menu and I'm like, pig liver? I'm not interested in that. Moving on. because you're allowed to. Their job is to appeal to you and convince you that this is worth playing. If the first trailer they drop looks bad and uninteresting, they don't get to then blame you when you don't show up on day one, you know? But that's the thing, is people did show up on day one and they still found it to match their expectations from that announcement trailer. The gaslighting that's happened with this game from like industry, I don't even know what to call them, like some of the industry elite maybe, has been ridiculous. Like talking down to you because you thought it looked mid. It's just been ridiculous. It's been insane. And again, it's just frustrating because I feel like any one of us could have looked at the trailer, could have looked at what Highguard was 3 years ago and told them, this ain't popping off, dude. This ain't popping off. What are we doing? No. This is not going to beat Overwatch. This is not going to beat Marvel Rivals. Like, no. Granted, like 3 years ago, Marvel Rivals wasn't out yet, but you get what I mean. Like, we would have looked at this and been like, you're putting how much money into this? But they didn't listen. They didn't welcome that critique and feedback. Instead, they just decided to go for it. But this is the age-old problem with the live service push and why I find it so just kind of gross, frankly, is that this is all being pushed by a group of executives in the high rise, right? They sign with their pen the big checks and greenlight these projects because the basic premise is that if you throw 10 live service games at the wall and they all crash and burn except for one, that one will pay for all of the failures and then its own development and marketing 10 times over, and then it'll make perpetually insane amounts of money moving forward. So you can throw all of these at the wall, have them crash and burn, but you just need that one. So it's worth the risk, right? Because the upside potential is so crazy high. But what's gross about it is that for those executives, it's just money. It's just dollars and cents. But there's a real human cost to this. There are people who like now are going to have to look at selling their house or moving to another state or country to get a new job to provide for them and their families because the executives that greenlit this were rolling the dice and like, we'll see if it works. Nope, didn't work. You're fired. Like that's literally what they're doing. It's just gambling at the altar of live service, hoping that it might work out. What made Highguard so bizarre was how hyped it got for seemingly no reason and how much big industry people started talking down to players for thinking it looked uninteresting, you know? Were there people that were cheering for its death because they just hate live service? Sure. I think the average player, 99% of players though, that went in and tried the game, they went to the trouble of downloading it and playing it. They found it to just not be good enough to spend time on. Just wasn't that interesting to them. So they moved on. And that's the name of the game at the end of the day. That's the name of the game. I see your super chat. We got a couple. Daddy, thank you for the 5. Daddy, hi Luke. Do you think Highguard would have done much better without Jeff's hype, or do you think this game is just more of the same we have seen? I think this number would have been a lot lower without Jeff's hype. If they would have put the trailer in the middle of the show, there would not have been like a lot of negativity leading up to the launch. There also would not have been anywhere near as many players. Like, I think that this probably would have been the all-time peak. And we'd still be sitting here. They still would lose money and still be doing layoffs. As a concept, I think Highguard never made sense. It's like one game mode that's not that interesting in a world where you're competing with the behemoths of Marvel Rivals, Valorant, Overwatch. Like, you're competing against behemoths and you come out with one game mode that most people say it's like kind of lame. Jeff's 1,000% paid to hype this. No, I don't think so. To be very, very clear, I think Jeff honestly was trying his best to help a game he thought was good and that he thought was actually going to do well, and he wanted to help it do well. I know people have said that, like, oh, I think he owned the company. No, I think he just honestly did a play test over the summer, was like, oh, these are former Respawn devs. this is awesome. I had fun. And one thing somebody brought up, which I think is fair, is that at those preview events, they went and they sat. I spoke to somebody who was at one of those events. They said that there was like an hour-long presentation before they started gameplay explaining all of the game mode, how to play it, how certain team synergies worked, how you should pivot. Like they explained the game from like a micro detail view. And so when all the players started playing, they understood the game to a much greater degree than the average player just jumping in would. And so they had a better time than somebody booting it up for the first time, dealing with all the headaches of learning a new game and seeing that the game's not running particularly well. And they've heard all this negativity and they just give up on it, you know? I think Jeff just honestly liked it and he wanted to help it. He tried to promote it and it just ended up backfiring massively and catastrophically. I think that that's what happened. I think it's also, I don't want to talk, like, I think you're allowed to like games that other people, even the vast majority of people, find uninteresting or mid. You're allowed to like them. We might poke fun at you for liking them, but that's totally fine. If somebody in chat right now tells me, actually, Luke, I have a confession. I really like Roblox. I'm going to make fun of you. But that's your right. You can do that, okay? Jeff's allowed to like something like this. The people who went to those stream preview events and liked it, because there were people who went and were like, that's fine. But there were people that went to the preview event and said they really liked it and that it was going to be great. That's totally fine. I have no problem with those people. They're allowed to like it. My point, okay, I see. I love Starfield. Successfully baited. Banned. No, I think that the people that I'm glad this was very revealing for were the people that talked down to the gaming community as though they were like they were entitled to your playtime, that they were entitled to your attention, that you're not allowed to critique it until you've played it. No, bitch, if I look at the menu and the meal looks bad, I'm not ordering it. The chef doesn't get to come out and be like, why didn't you order the pig snout sandwich? You're being really judgy right now. Like, that's not how this works. You're trying to sell me something, okay? It's your job to be appealing. It's your job to make something I want. What are we doing? What are we doing? That was very revealing. And we saw a lot of people doing that. A lot of these like industry journalists who were like, you guys need to be more open-minded. You're being too judgy. Shut up. Shut up, okay? Shut up. The game never looked that interesting to any of us. And the fact that it played out the way that it did, I think, is evidence to the fact that people were willing to try it. They were willing to try it. They did. It just wasn't that good. And now the devs suffer the consequences. The people at the top, they're going to get out and probably be just fine. Just fine. You know, maybe if they say, oh yeah, I worked on HighGuard, maybe that's like a little stain on their resume, but they can also always just point at, well, yeah, there's this coordinated hate attempt at our game that made it fail. It wasn't that the game was mid. It was that those nasty gamers didn't want to try it, even though they did. Like, it's just dumb. My point from the beginning with HighGuard has been that just like Concord, just like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, just like so many of these games that we talk about that end up launching and failing, I don't think the concept was ever going to work. I think that this game, whether it launched today, 6 months from now, or a year ago, was always going to end this way, because as a concept, as a product, it just didn't make sense. They could have found that out by asking for critical feedback early on. I will tell you guys, I have been asked to provide feedback on projects that went on to be canceled. But to those companies' credit, like, they listened to the feedback of myself and others. There were other people in that panel that reviewed and offered feedback, and they actually listened to it. So even though we see these things, I want you to understand that there are companies out there who are taking feedback and are trying to avoid these types of things. It's not super common. These types of things still happen a lot, but it is happening. Okay, so they should have done that type of thing, but we'll see if it makes, if they learn their lesson and do anything about it. These people need actual gamers to attend summits about the game. Most people could tell them instantly it's a bad idea and save them so much money. Yeah, or reveal it way earlier and get the initial trailer feedback. Like if I launched a trailer for my game and it immediately got, 90% dislikes, it'd be like, people don't want it. Okay, never mind, we're good. Like I'd be like, lesson learned. But that's apparently not how they want to do things. So here we are. It looks like Highguard is not going to get the chance to really try to make a comeback. It looks like it's just, they did the math. The odds of the comeback happening are low. It's going to take them a long time to get there, and they're going to lose a lot of money in the process. Because bear in mind, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League charged $70 a copy at launch. And that, Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League peaked at 13,000 players on Steam, but each one of those paid $70. And the owner estimations, granted, a lot of these, they sold it for like $3 a copy for a while, so the numbers here aren't that helpful, but they sold probably multiple tens of millions of dollars in just raw copies, not to mention microtransactions and stuff. So they had cash to actually bankroll and keep servers running and stuff like that. Highguard, I don't think has that luxury because it's free to play. I mean, I just don't think so. LMAO, only 109 players playing it. Yeah, I mean, considering it's actually abandoned, that's actually not that bad. That's pretty good. They gave the game away for free after. Oh, well, there you go. There you go. So here we are. When do you think Highguard will shut down? My guess is they'll probably let the servers run through the end of the year, because I think they probably signed contracts for a full thing, but we might see something where it's like December 31st is the last day to play it, something like that. January 31st, they did like a full 12-month prepay or something. I'm not sure, but that'd be my guess. When do you think Wildlight will close? If it closes, I mean, it sounds like they might stay open through the end of the year, just with a skeleton crew to finish things out. They might try to sell to somebody, get Respawn to buy them out or something like that. Who knows? Just for the talent, basically. Yeah. What's Jeff saying about it? That's actually a good question. This is also funny.
Hi, I'm Felicity. I'm 22 years old, and I'm reading for the role of narrator in Princess Party. Just let me know when I can start. Okay.
Petunia Tabernacle emerged from the castle with a young frog. She took the frog and kissed him squarely on the lips. When she kissed the frog, he turned into a prince.
Felicity, could you do it a little bit more feminine, a little softer? I'm so sorry, just the note said that the narrator was wise beyond her years. Okay, no problem, I hear you. Hi,
Sorry. I had that pulled up. I had to share it with you. Anyway, it looks like Jeff has not said anything about it. Nothing yet. Frankly, I think that it's unfortunately just another. I think that this whole thing showed how, like, I think Jeff. Let me back up. I think Jeff is owed a lot of credit for legitimizing the gaming industry, building it out, helping promote it, and like pulling developers and audiences together. And he deserves a ton of credit for that. Like, he really does. When E3 died, he swooped in and gave us multiple alternatives, which I think is admirable and really, really cool. Because otherwise we'd be totally screwed. That being said, I think this whole Highguard debacle showed how out of touch a lot of people in the gaming industry are with the core audience. For better or worse, like I think that it showed that there's a lot of people in game journalist positions, a lot of people in production positions and stuff who just don't get where the common gamer is, which is why for so many of us, we saw that trailer and we're like, what are you talking? What do you mean this is a new breed? It looks mid as hell. You know, like, we did not understand it because we were just talking past each other. You know, I think we were just on totally different pages. I think that that's kind of what it's it's left me with. And like I said, I think Jeff honestly was trying to help out a game that he believed in and he really liked, and that is absolutely his prerogative, his right. There's going to be times where I'm like, guys, this game's awesome. You play it and you're like, bro, what? There's going to be times like that because we all like different things. That's fine. Jeff's allowed to like that. I think he got, in 48 hours, you're going to have to owe me an apology. I think that was a little cocky. Okay. That was a little bit like, I'll apologize if I owe you one, but if you don't, I get to make fun of you. Okay, you said he's the Jim Cramer of gaming? Bro, that's hilarious. That's funny. I bet he'd laugh at that too. Anyway, there you go. It looks like Highguard is officially on its way out. Again, it's unfortunately a story that I think we all kind of saw coming, and we could have warned them about, and we tried to warn them about, but we were called hateful and unreasonable. But here we are. So there you go. That's that. Wish the devs the best, because again, it's not, in my opinion, it's not their fault. It's the fault of the executives that made this happen. Yeah, the concept outsource manager at Wildlight also posted that he's now open to work. Previous posting about the team on Highguard laid off was reposted by the project manager, executive assistant, project manager, lead tech artist, audio director, VFX director. Looks like everybody. So there you go. Wish them the best of luck, and I hope they end up working for a boss that greenlights a better game that stands a chance. There you go. Okay, guys, it's almost 5 p.m., so I'm going to call it there, and we'll be back tomorrow, because tomorrow is the actual showcase. So I'll actually be here for the showcase, which is tomorrow and not today, which I definitely knew before I scheduled the streams. Much love. Have a fantastic evening. Let me see real quick. Cat Attack, thank you for the 5. I'm so confused. Didn't they say they didn't care about player numbers? Did they not have enough money for more than a month of operation? If they did have a month of operations money on hand, ask yourself, if it's going to be burned through and we're going to lose it all, why not just shut down now and keep some of the money? I think that's what they're doing. So shut it down before all the money goes to zero, because if you still have a little bit left over, you can send that out to investors so they don't sue you, which helps. Yeah. Hi, Luke. My favorite console Steam Deck is out of stock. Yeah, I heard that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Thanks for chilling. Awabjack, thank you for the gifted community sub over on Twitch as well. Appreciate you, my friend. Much love, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow. Join us live for the PlayStation Showcase watch party. It's going to be a fun one. Much love. I'll see you then. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.